Authorities say there's no sign of foul play. And actors Megan Good and Jonathan Majors are now citizens of Guinea. The married couple traced their ancestry to the West African nation through DNA testing. Majors says the move helped bridge the gap between their work and the African diaspora. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers are done after a very weak performance on offense Sunday night at New England. In New England's 16-3 win, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was sacked 6 times and was pressured on 11 other passing attempts. He also fumbled twice. The Chargers failed to score a touchdown in a playoff game for the first time since 2007. The number one offseason priority for Coach Jim Harbaugh and the front office is to do something about the offensive line to keep Herbert healthy. The news is much better for the Rams. They've got a second-round matchup at Chicago on Sunday after surviving a tough battle Saturday at Carolina. First time the Rams and Chicago are meeting in the playoffs since 1985. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 4th in the country, has won 9 straight. The 14-1 Bruins beat Nebraska Sunday 83-61. 18 points and 10 rebounds for Lauren Betts. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
Live from historic Lamert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley, and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavismiley.com. That's thetavismiley.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. It's Monday, so Dr. Cornel West kicks off hour 2. We shall see what his walk-on song is today and unpack with him a few timely topics in hour 2. I will tell you that one of the things I know we're going to get into in hour 2 is this interview that Trump did with the New York Times. So the other day, he spent some hours with, I think, a group of reporters from the New York Times, and they are distilling a plethora of stories over the coming days because he gave them so much time. There's so many reporters in the room, and you know Donald Trump is so quotable. And so the Times is pushing these stories out little by little. I guess we're going to leak this stuff out for the next week so they can keep getting clicks and and downloads. I'm mad at the New York Times. But in this conversation inside the White House a few days ago, Donald Trump said that civil rights have led to white people being very badly treated. The president's comments were essentially a sort of blunt distillation of his administration's racial policies, which of course rest on the belief that white people have become the victims of discrimination in America. But he was more bold about it in this conversation with the New York Times, that is, more bold in this conversation with the Times than he's ever been when he, on the record, said that civil rights have led to white people being very badly treated. Now, this is nothing new to any of us in terms of the way that Donald Trump is moving and showing up. We all saw, of course, Project 2025. But to go on the record and to say it so bluntly and so clearly and with a full throat is interesting. So Dr. West and I are going to get into it, I'm sure, about Donald Trump blaming civil rights on the way that white people now are so badly treated. They are the victims. So it's this old argument of reverse discrimination. But Donald Trump leaned into it pretty heavily, and so will we at the top of hour 2 when Dr. Cornel West shows up. On the B side of hour 2, will the U.S. really extend its aggression to Colombia, Cuba, Mexico, Brazil, and beyond? We'll talk to Rutgers University professor and Jacobin magazine columnist Ben Burgis on the B side of hour 2. In our third hour 2 conversations, up first from Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson on the DHS Defend the Homeland nationwide recruitment campaign. Have you seen this? They got a serious campaign going on that Kristi Noem is leading, the nationwide campaign to recruit what they are calling patriots. That's their word, recruiting patriots to join ICE and remove the worst of the worst from the U.S. That's their language as well. They're looking for patriots who want to join ICE and remove the worst of the worst from the U.S. That campaign's underway right now, rather aggressive. They are in this recruitment effort. And so we'll talk to former Homeland Security Secretary Jeh Johnson about that on the top side of hour 3. And on the B side of hour 3, comedian, we'll need some laughter at some point in this show today. Comedian David Jolly actually comes in studio with his hilarious New Year's wisdom for those observing a dry January based on his own 5-year comedy and sobriety experiment. David Jolly closes us out today on the backside of hour 3 with a little humor. But in this first hour, let's talk politics and more with noted Minneapolis-based civil rights attorney and founder of the Racial Justice Network, Nekima Levy Armstrong. Honored to have her as a regular contributor to this program. Let me just do this right quick when we come forward. I'll let her loose for the rest of the hour. So this is Kristi Noem, the aforementioned Kristi Noem, Secretary of Homeland Security, the current secretary. We'll talk to Jeh Johnson again later in today's show. But Kristi is the current, Kristi Noem, current Homeland Security Secretary. She was on CNN yesterday, and she and Jake Tapper sort of got into it. Just take a listen.
So if this agents were perfectly fine, if everything he did was accurate, does that mean that other ICE agents should
He wasn't perfectly fine. He was injured. He went to the hospital.
No, his actions were fine. I didn't say.
In fact, I think a lot of people and the guests and even you yourself called this situation something very different and untruthful about what it was as far as
what did I say that was untruthful?
That this was not a correct definition of what was happening on the ground.
I said that your description, they were attempting to push out their vehicle and a woman attacked them and those surrounding them and attempted to run them over and ram them with their vehicle is not what we see on the videotape, and it's not.
It absolutely is the facts of what happened on the ground that day. They were there pushing out a vehicle earlier. They had helped each other.
But that's not what you said. That's not what you said. Yes, they were pushing out a vehicle.
Absolutely what I said. There's not one thing.
We all seen the video. I don't need to relitigate it. We've all seen the video. She is blocking the street. They approach her.
You haven't seen the video of the entire morning and the previous encounters with this individual.
Oh, we have aired it. Yes, we have. On Thursday, we were airing and noting the fact that she was there for several minutes, for minutes and minutes and minutes. She was protesting without question.
And at previous locations that morning, that these vehicles had been previously down the block on video that you haven't seen. There's more information
but
that this individual was impeding law enforcement operations throughout the previous moments and hours before this incident
The question is, what was she doing when she was moving her car?
The question
That's the question.
Is why are we arguing with a president who's working to keep people safe?
So they're leaning into their narrative about what happened in Minneapolis. And so when we come forward, we will commence this conversation with the Minneapolis-based civil rights attorney and founder of the Racial Justice Network, Nekima Levy Armstrong, on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me, how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to TavisTalks.com right now. That's TavisTalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launch the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
Yeah, yo, come on. Here come the drums.
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah. Gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, We don't black down.
Drop it! Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power! Fight the power!
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
It does indeed with Nekima Levy Armstrong, civil rights attorney based in Minneapolis and founder of the Racial Justice Network. We all know, you've seen this story everywhere, of course, that Rebecca Nicole Good was murdered. It's just about a mile away from where George Floyd was murdered. I feel so for the people in Minneapolis. This stuff just seems to keep happening in Minneapolis. There's Philando Castile just across the bridge in St. Paul, and there are others. Nekima could run these names if I had the time. But it was Nekima Levy Armstrong who informed the former police chief, Rondo. He was on this program a few months ago, you recall. If you're a regular listener, and I hope that means you, and you. Former Chief Rondo in Minneapolis was on this program some months ago when his book came out. And in the book, he tells the story that it was Nekima Levy Armstrong who called him to say, your police just murdered a citizen named George Floyd. The police chief was at home, didn't know. The streets move faster than anything else, as you well know. Long story short, it was Nekima who literally got on the phone and informed her police chief what was going on with George Floyd in Minneapolis. And so that's how he found out about what was happening on this particular day. She gave him the details, and the rest, as they say, is history. But that's who she is, a longtime activist and one of the foremost persons in Minneapolis fighting for civil rights, human rights, and I'm always honored to have her on this program. Nekima, I haven't talked to you this year, so Happy New Year for starters. It's not so happy in Minneapolis right now, but how are you today?
Thank you, Tavis. Happy New Year. I am trying to stay grounded and stay focused and continue to challenge business as usual.
Yeah.
In the midst of all that's happening here.
Yeah. So you heard that clip of Kristi Noem on CNN. That's just a piece of it, but it got pretty funky. It got pretty heated between she and Jake Tapper yesterday. Jake Tapper, that is. The Department of Homeland Security has already announced that they're sending hundreds more troops. There are already like 2,000 ICE personnel, ICE agents in Minneapolis, 2,000 already. And so she's not just doubling down on their messaging. They're sending even more ICE agents to Minneapolis. Now, if that ain't a stick in the eye, if that ain't giving you the middle finger, I don't know what is, Nekima. But how do you read it?
I read it as retaliation and vindictiveness towards the state of Minnesota because, number one, remember our governor, Tim Walz, was Kamala Harris's running mate when she ran for president of the United States. And he called out Donald Trump and MAGA Republicans. And since that time, the Trump administration has been on a warpath in terms of demonizing our state, manipulating the media and the public, and now essentially unleashing hellhounds upon our community. Because as you said, there are over 2,000 ICE agents already here, hundreds on the way, and they have been brutal and vicious in terms of how they have treated people on the streets, and not just immigrants, but American citizens as well. Because remember, Renee Nicole Good was an American citizen who was brutally murdered by ICE agent Jonathan Ross just last Wednesday while sitting in her vehicle.
Yep. I'm glad you called his name because for a good while, we didn't know who this agent was. We saw him clearly on the video shoot and kill Ms. Good, but we didn't know who he was, largely because he and so many other ICE agents are wearing masks. I've been in a number of conversations over the weekend about this. Again, nothing new here, but given that they have murdered another person, and then after that, 2 more folk were shot in Portland by ICE agents. Those persons I don't think were killed, but certainly they wounded, shot and wounded 2 other people in the city of Portland. So they're just out of control right now. No question about that. But for days we didn't know immediately who this agent was. We didn't know his name. And again, the point is that I've been in a number of conversations with people about the fact that so many of these ICE agents are wearing these masks. And, we could have a deep conversation about what these masks actually mean. But police officers in Minneapolis and L.A. and anywhere else, they don't wear masks. These ICE agents are, again, not just maiming and harming and murdering fellow citizens, but they get to wear masks when they do it. What do you make of that? And again, that's why we didn't know what this guy's face looked like. We didn't know his name. We didn't know any of that because he's basically undercover. I mean, these masks give a whole new meaning to what it means to be, policing undercover. But how do you read that part of the story?
Well, absolutely. I mean, the reason we even know his identity is because as African American leaders who've been on the front lines calling for police accountability, we actually held an emergency press conference the day after Renee Good was killed. And one of our demands was the release of the name of the ICE agent who killed Renee Good. Mm-hmm. They had no intention, from my perspective, of even releasing his name. But the Star Tribune, which is our state's largest paper, did the research and put the name out there so that there would be some transparency. And through that process, we found out that the ICE agent actually lives in the state of Minnesota. And like you said, they're able to go out there with masks on, concealing their identity. Some of them remove their license plates so that, there's no way of knowing who you are encountering, right? Which is it's terrifying. To have these people act like they drive up and act like the jump out boys, when they see people in traffic, pulling people over. It doesn't matter if you're at a Target, at church, at a school, or walking through your own neighborhood. They're able to get away with this. And again, they're able to conceal their identities. And some of them are our neighbors. That's the other terrifying part. Like we saw with Jonathan Ross, who lives in Chaska, Minnesota, which is a suburb outside of Minneapolis.
How do you process that? What are people saying to you? How are Minnesotans processing the fact that one of their own, this is not some ICE agent who was shipped in, to your point, one of their own shot and killed one of your own?
I think that people find it particularly disturbing, just given the culture of Minnesota. But we also know that there are quite a number of people who support the Trump administration, many of whom also identify with the MAGA cult, just as Jonathan Ross did. There's been evidence that he has defended white supremacists online, that he is a known MAGA supporter. And the kicker is that his wife is a Filipina immigrant. Right. And so I think that people are just shook, to know that these people live amongst us. But at the same time, we know that the Klan came here in 1920 and they never left. Right. And so this is a part of the process of living in an American society that has never reconciled issues of race, of white supremacy, violence, and abuse. And so that's what we're contending with right now. The sons of the Confederacy being recruited by the Trump administration to rain terror on vulnerable communities. And like Renee Good's wife said, we have whistles, they have guns. So that's something we need to think about in terms of our approach to this madness that we're experiencing.
Nekima, put your finger on something that I want to just unpack right quickly, and you all know this. Again, I got a bright audience here, but it's just worth underscoring, underlining, or double-clicking for a second, if you will. The frame that we're in, where Donald Trump and all the sycophants who surround him have made immigrants their target. Donald Trump has married a couple different immigrants. He's married to one right now, immigrant. J.D. Vance is married to an immigrant. Jonathan Ross, who killed Rebecca Good, married to an immigrant. I mean, just pause and think about that for a second. They are married to immigrants, and yet immigrants are their targets. It makes you can't make sense of that. But I'm glad Nekima went there. I was going to go there. We now know he's married to a Filipino immigrant, and you are out there harassing, trolling other immigrants. I mean, that's what you go home to every single day. You can't make sense of this. Let me just ask you this. This is part of this is the best of the black tradition. So this is not, atypical or unusual for us, that we fight to defend our own people, but in the process, others are included in those grievances and in our pushback against the republic, as it were. What I mean by that simply is that we have taught everybody else how to protest. But when we protest, we're not just protesting for ourselves, we're protesting for everybody else, because right is right. And might does not make right, but right is right. And so here you have Nekima Levy Armstrong with her black self and all these other black folk in Minneapolis, and black folk on talk radio like me and everywhere else coming to the defense of Renee Good, who happens to be, she's deceased of course now, happened to be a white woman. This is somewhat different than what we saw with the black George Floyd. So that's just a long way of asking how you process the fact that it was a black male and now it's a white female. What does that mean? How should we see that? What frame are we in, Nekima?
I think that we should understand that no one is safe, whether you are an immigrant or whether you are an American citizen. And I think that as black folks, we have to understand, if they will kill one of their own, a white woman with blonde hair, they'll kill anybody. And I know that there are people in our community who say, this ain't our fight, we got to sit this one out. Well, really? In St. Paul, they're going door to door. They don't care if you are African American who lives there. They're going door to door asking you if any immigrants live in your house. They are going to schools and targeting people. As a matter of fact, after they killed Renee Good, ICE agents went to Roosevelt High School, which is a school in South Minneapolis, and they wreaked havoc as the kids were getting out of school, literally physically pushing kids, pepper spraying them, attacking innocent children, and apprehending a staff member and detaining them. Now, some of those kids have parents who are African American. They're African American. ICE didn't care about their racial background. So that's what people need to understand, that this is our fight, because number one, it's a fight for our humanity and our human dignity, and to be treated with respect and to be treated within the bounds of constitutional law. But beyond that, these ICE agents are not discriminating on the basis of U.S. citizenship. Anyone is a target. And we've heard from so many people who are U.S. citizens who are being targeted, attacked, beaten, dragged, even pregnant women. So this is very much our fight, unfortunately, because our community is not safe in this moment.
Yeah. I was reading a piece today before I came on the air. I believe that this piece was by Sam Rosenthal. Sam Rosenthal wrote the piece, as I recall, and his point in the piece is that Democrats, if we're going to get the left, progressives, if we're going to get on a path to defeat Trumpism, it has to begin with a robust and with an aggressive pushback of ICE and these policies. He argued in the piece that we have to be uncritical in our criticism and visible in our rejection. But the real fight, the real pushback against Trumpism has to begin in earnest in this moment, pushing back against ICE. I read that piece, and I want to connect what Sam was saying in this article to the thousands who did, in fact, rally across the country this weekend, pushing back on the murder of Renee Good in Minneapolis. So when we come forward, I want to give Nekima some space to just talk about that. So it happened once again, sadly, regrettably, in Minneapolis. But as it did with the murder of George Floyd, it motivated people. It caused so much angst that citizens literally all across the country started protesting. Now, we've not, obviously, this hasn't risen to the level of protest we've seen worldwide about the murder of George Floyd, but that's the point I think that Sam Rosenthal was making, that this pushback, this defeat of Trumpism, if it is ever going to happen, has to start right now, and this is that particular moment where we push back against ICE and their shenanigans in this particular moment. So we'll talk about that, and again, what Nekima makes of these thousands of persons literally all across the country who joined in protest over the weekend with regard to what happened to Renee Good in Minneapolis. And, of course, 2 more people, as I mentioned earlier, shot in Portland. ICE is completely out of control. The question is, what's the fight back look like? What are we going to do about it? We'll pick up this conversation on that note when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good.
Yeah, man.
Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. White House border czar Tom Homan says the woman shot by an ICE agent in Minnesota may meet the definition of domestic terrorism.
What she did was a crime. It's illegal to interfere and impede ICE law enforcement officers.
Homan spoke on NBC's Meet the Press. Federal officials say Renee Good tried to hit the agent with her car, but Democrats argue video evidence disputes that. Researchers say U.S. preterm birth rates have climbed over the past decade, hitting hardest in low-income households. Black mothers had the highest rates across all income levels. Preterm birth, delivery before 37 weeks, remains the leading cause of infant death and illness in the U.S. And influencer Desmond Scott confirms his split from wife Christy Scott, admitting to mistakes and apologizing to family and fans. He vows to stay a devoted father and shift to solo content focused on cooking. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers are done after a very weak performance on offense Sunday night at New England. In New England's 16-3 win, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was sacked 6 times and was pressured on 11 other passing attempts. He also fumbled twice. The Chargers failed to score a touchdown in a playoff game for the first time since 2007. The number one offseason priority for Coach Jim Harbaugh and the front office is to do something about the offensive line to keep Herbert healthy. The news is much better for the Rams. They've got a second-round matchup at Chicago on Sunday after surviving a tough battle Saturday at Carolina. First time the Rams and Chicago are meeting in the playoffs since 1985. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 4th in the country, has won 9 straight. The 14-1 Bruins beat Nebraska Sunday 83-61. 18 points and 10 rebounds for Lauren Betts. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Zoe Williams, a.k.a. the Voice of Reason, encouraging you to join me weekdays from 7 to 9 p.m. for the world's most intriguing relationship radio roundtable. Every night, I facilitate and encourage our loyal listeners to participate in the most engaging relationship discussions you'll hear anywhere. So make it a point to rendezvous with me, Zoe Williams, the Voice of Reason, Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Trust me, your relationships will never be the same. The VOR is on fire tonight.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk Radio that's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Picture this, you're on a date, and then bad breath happens. Confidence gone. Here's the truth. Most gums and mints are just bad breath Band-Aids, but not Zellman's Minty Mouth. The functional breath freshener you swallow. Tiny dual-action capsules with mint on the outside, parsley seed oil inside, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders, even garlic and onions. It's only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Z-E-L-M-I-N-S, Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, Nekima Levy Armstrong, Minneapolis-based rights attorney, founder of the Racial Justice Network. Pleased to have her on this program, although I wish under different circumstances, as we try to get a sense of what the mood is like in Minneapolis right now, given what happened just days ago with the murder of Renee Nicole Good, to be exact. So let me just, Becca is her wife. Renee Good is the one who was murdered by this ICE agent. Nekima, I mean, not that I can ask you to speak for the entire city, but what's your sense, at least, of the mood in Minneapolis right about now?
Well, I think one of the things that is most powerful to witness is the resilience of people in Minneapolis and the Twin Cities. This is a highly organized community, as you and I have talked about before, because of all of our years of, taking to the streets, disrupting business as usual, shutting things down. And the world got to see a glimpse of that in the aftermath of the Minneapolis police killing of George Floyd. And so the day that Renee Good was killed, actually that evening, there was a vigil that was attended by thousands of people. And then and I spoke at that vigil that night, calling for accountability. And then the next morning, there were thousands of people outside of the Whipple Federal Building. That's the building where ICE and other federal agencies are currently housed temporarily, but also where they are detaining people who they consider to be illegally here. People showed up 7 o'clock in the morning to be a visible presence against the terrorism of ICE. And they've continued to show up in the freezing cold. There was a march on Saturday that somewhere between 50,000 and 120,000 Minnesotans attended. And it was literally 20 degrees outside. So we have a community where even though people are visibly upset, some people are fearful, that has not deterred people from continuing to show up. When they see ICE on the scene, they're blowing whistles to alert their neighbors. They are using cars and using their bodies to shield people from ICE being able to capture them. So those are some of the most powerful things that I have witnessed in the midst of what I would call a federal occupation happening in our city.
Yep. And how did you process the thousands of folk I referenced earlier who were rallying all across this country because of what actually happened in Minneapolis?
It was really powerful to see folks resonate with the cause for justice for Renee Good and to see themselves in Renee Good. I mean, that was one thing that struck me as a Black woman. I could have easily been sitting in my car, according to my training, trying to block the street, saying I'm not a harm to anybody. I'm just slowing ICE down, from going after people. And the next thing you know, you have somebody like Jonathan Ross, who, God forbid, opens fire. And so I think people around the nation are understanding that if it can happen here, if it can happen to Renee Good, it can happen to anyone. And we just do not have a choice to remain silent in the midst of this. And people are demonstrating that by taking to the streets. And I wish our elected officials would have that same energy when it comes to holding ICE accountable. You know, Congress has the power to rein in ICE. They control their budget. They're supposed to provide oversight. And yet Congress is silent as these assaults on the American public continue to happen from city to city, which I just feel is a disgrace.
Yep. Speaking of elected officials, I want to get your take on your mayor, Jacob Fry. You and I have discussed him before. Of course, the whole world saw him drop that F-bomb. I discussed that the other day on this program. I'm all for the outrage. But I, again, as I said then, and not everybody agrees with me. Indeed, Connie Rice, one of my contributors, came right behind me and told me she vehemently disagreed with me. Again, not a Puritan here, but that language in press conferences troubles me because kids are watching that. It's going to be seen over and over again. And the incivility of it, I don't think moves us in the right direction. That's just me. So I certainly welcome those who disagree with me. But we talked about that on the program the other day, and Jacob Fry, of course, heard about that from a lot of people, about him dropping that F-bomb, saying, to ICE, get the F out of Minneapolis. He heard so much about it that he had to respond to the criticism of him dropping that F-bomb, and here's what Jacob Fry, mayor of Minneapolis, had to say about it.
Yeah, they stand by their statements. Do you stand by your statements? Yes. I stand by my statements. We stand by our statements. I'll look back to what I said. What I said was it was reckless abuse of power. Yes, it was a reckless abuse of power. I said that what the narrative that the administration was pushing in the immediacy following this shooting was garbage and false and BS. It was. I stand by every one of those. And, this notion of inflammatory comments, I mean, come on, guys. I dropped an F-bomb. They killed somebody. Which one of those is more inflammatory? I'm going with the killing somebody.
Yeah, with all due respect to Jacob Fry, I don't think that's the question, but I'll get him on the program at some later point. We can debate what the appropriate question is, but with all due respect to the mayor, that really ain't the question. I thought to have Miles tee up some CeeLo Green. Don't do it, Miles. Don't do it. I don't want the FCC coming down to me. For those of you who know the FU song by CeeLo Green, that was my little joke. Anyway, all jokes aside, what you mentioned elected officials. So that was just a way for me to weave in that audio that I wanted to get out there anyway. But what's your read of your mayor, Jacob Fry, and not about the F-bomb, but just about the way that he and other elected officials in Minneapolis and Minnesota have responded to what happened to Renee Good?
Well, I would say that I don't mind. I don't have an issue with him dropping an F-bomb in a moment like that.
Right.
My issue is if you're going to be tough talking on TV, be able to back it up. Otherwise, don't pretend to be a tough guy. Because here's the thing. If you're going to say get the F out of Minneapolis, then use your power as an elected official to make sure that that happens. And of course, that he can't force ICE agents to leave Minneapolis, but he can make it very uncomfortable for them. So for example, he can instruct the Minneapolis police chief and the Minneapolis Police Department to arrest and apprehend ICE agents who violate the law. That has not happened. Not a single ICE agent has been arrested in spite of the violence that they have inflicted upon this community, and not to mention the fact that Jonathan Ross is still roaming free. If that had been any one of us who opened fire on someone in front of their vehicle, literally kill shots to the head, we would have been arrested immediately. Instead, what we saw happen on that day was the Minneapolis police showed up on the scene after Renee Good was killed. They told the protesters who were in the area to disperse, and then they opened up the perimeter, putting yellow tape out to let more ICE agents into that vicinity. So help me understand, if you're saying get the F out, but your own police force is making it easier for ICE to do what they're doing, that's a huge contradiction. And I said earlier today how, right after this killing, they went to Roosevelt High School and terrorized kids and staff members. Where was the Minneapolis police then? They weren't out there arresting ICE agents. So I think it made for a good soundbite. It made for a lot of media wanting to do puff pieces and figure out who Jacob Fry is. But at the end of the day, it's the residents of Minneapolis that are still unprotected, that have not seen Jacob Fry use any of his power to help protect residents of Minneapolis. And so it just is empty. It's just like blowing hot air as far as I'm concerned.
We call it sounding brass and tinkling cymbal. That's what it is. And I take Nekima's reference to hot air. When we come forward, I want to go from one F word to the other F word, the one that Jacob Fry used. We'll dispense of that for the moment. The other F word is faith. I've been reading a couple of pieces about faith networks being reunited in Minneapolis. It is tragic, but oftentimes it's only a tragedy that allows people to come together. And I've been reading about the way faith networks are reuniting once again in Minneapolis, given what happened to one of their own, shot and killed by one of their own. We'll talk about that F word, faith, the faith community in this moment with Nekima Levy Armstrong when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Generous listening. Charitable listening. It's why everybody wants to talk to Tavis. The conversation continues when we come forward.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. If you're struggling with mental health, you should know that there are resources out there that can help. And it's okay to talk about it if you need to. One place to get started with information is loveyourmindtoday.org. Loveyourmindtoday.org offers a range of guides, instructions, and insights for dealing with difficult situations or getting through a tough time. If you're struggling with mental health, get the help you need, because most people out here really care. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, Nekima Levy Armstrong, Minneapolis, a civil rights attorney, founder of the Racial Justice Network, regular contributor to this program as often as I can get her, and I'm always thrilled when she comes on because I know her insights are going to be worth hearing. And this tragedy, as I said earlier, this is not uncommon in our culture, that it takes something horrific to bring all the rest of us together. I was reading a piece the other day about the way this murder of Renee Nicole Good has sort of reunited faith networks in Minneapolis. What can you tell me about that?
So there have been several faith-based organizations, ministers, etc., that have gathered, have prayed, have given speeches, and have shown up in the aftermath of Renee Good being murdered. And I think that it is a powerful show of solidarity. Mm-hmm. My only hope is that it will not take a tragedy for them to show up, mm-hmm. Right? So that it doesn't look like a performative response in the midst of a crisis. Because before Renee Good was killed, I'm thinking, well, where were all these people? Mm-hmm. Right? It was mostly immigrant networks, everyday ordinary citizens who were out on the front lines from the time ICE got here, which has really been over the last couple months. And so I'm glad to see them as a visible presence now that this has happened. But what we really need for them to do is use their faith to challenge empire day in and day out. Many of us who are involved in activism and on the front lines, we are people of faith, and that's actually what drives us to do this work, whether there are cameras here or they're not, whether there's a major crisis or there's not. So that's what I would really want to see from our faith leaders, them getting involved, them holding elected officials accountable, them speaking to the immorality of this moment and pushing for change on a regular basis, not just in a moment of crisis, so that it seems real and that it has a more lasting and sustainable impact on our culture.
When we come forward in our remaining moments with Nekima, I want to ask her how hopeful she is. She used the word hopeful a moment ago. How hopeful is she that a real investigation will ever get off the ground here? Keith Ellison, the Minnesota AG, as you know, was a guest on this program last week. We reached out to him and got him on right away. I'm grateful to him for giving us some time last week when everybody was reaching out to him and pulling at him. But Keith Ellison was on this program last week saying that the Trump administration was blocking Minnesota and the city from doing its own investigation. I saw Keith Ellison along with the Hennepin County, is it DA? I think it's attorney, Hennepin County attorney. Nekima will straighten me out now when we come forward. But I saw all these law enforcement officials at a press conference together. You probably saw it as well, asking residents to submit evidence of this ICE shooting. They want to move ahead with their own investigation. But again, when we talked to Keith Ellison a few days ago, they were being blocked in that regard. So the question is for Nekima, how hopeful she is that a real investigation about what actually happened here will get off the ground, and whether or not at some point the Hennepin County attorney, or even Keith Ellison himself, the AG, as he did in the case of George Floyd, will take on a case and prosecute Jonathan Ross. Keith made the point on this program last week that even though Jonathan Ross is a federal agent, a federal ICE agent, because what he did inside the state of Minneapolis, inside the state of Minnesota rather, if there's an investigation that finds that what he did was unlawful, they can prosecute him in Minnesota. Never mind the fact that he's a federal ICE agent. We'll talk about that part when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Why does Tavis say when we come forward? Because he's not going back. And you don't have to go back either. Forward ever, backward never. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward. Forward.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, You can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the WASPs. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Worried about eviction? You have rights, and Stay Housed LA can help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between LA County, the City of Los Angeles, and local service providers. From Lancaster to Long Beach, we're here to help you with tenant education workshops, legal clinics, free legal services for eligible tenants, and online resources about tenant protection laws. Don't face eviction alone. Call our hotline at 1-888-694-0040. That's 1-888-694-0040. Or visit stayhousedla.org. Stay Housed LA, keeping Los Angeles residents in their homes. Stay Housed LA, your rights, your home, our community. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Every morning, we rise and shine, make breakfast, and brush away the night's rest. These routines help us start the day off right. Nature-Made vitamins are a simple step in that daily care regimen. Multivitamins with daily essentials, clinically studied probiotics for gut health support, magnesium to help relax the body. Nature-Made is made to care for you every day. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Made fresh daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Nekima Levy Armstrong, again, civil rights attorney in Minneapolis, founder of the Racial Justice Network. Speaking of racial justice, how comfortable, how hopeful are you that justice will ever be served in this case, given that the Trump administration is circling the wagons around Mr. Ross, trying to protect him, saying he did his job, but folk inside of Minnesota want an investigation. So, what's your sense of how this all plays out, Nekima?
Well, I'll say that it's the people who are calling for an investigation. Mm-hmm. So, if you look at the timeline of events, after Renee Good was killed, apparently the FBI had started or claimed that they were going to launch an investigation, and they invited the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which is one of our state agencies, to participate. And by that evening, we actually put out a press release, most primarily Black-led, calling for an independent, locally led investigation, because of course we don't trust the FBI under Kash Patel. And that morning when we woke up, there were notices saying that the FBI was disinviting the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension from participating and that they wouldn't share any evidence. And so once that happened, our elected officials were silent. And so we called an emergency press conference that afternoon, and we demanded a local independent investigation. And we laid out the facts in the law to show that Minnesota does have the authority to charge the ICE agent who killed Renee Good. And by that evening, that became elected officials' talking points. The governor did a video from his cell phone saying there needs to be an investigation. And then you had Keith Ellison and Mary Moriarty, the county attorney, saying they're going to do a joint investigation. But if you Google the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension, which is the state agency that we all thought they were planning to use, they're saying that they're not going to participate in an investigation, that they're only going to collect and catalog evidence. So we're still left wondering, well, is this investigation actually going to take place? And if so, which law enforcement agency will actually step up and conduct this investigation instead of rubber stamping ICE's violent behavior. So we're the ones putting pressure on Keith Ellison, on the governor, on Mayor Jacob Fry and other elected officials to step up to the plate. No one ever expected the FBI to do right by the American people or the people of Minnesota.
Right.
So they need to find a workaround, and they need to get justice for Renee Good. Because if they don't get justice in her case, no one can expect to get justice when ICE commits a murder in their city.
Well, as long as Nekima's involved, they're going to find a workaround because she and all the persons who work alongside her at the Racial Justice Network will insist that a workaround be found so that a real investigation can be done and somebody, Mr. Ross preferably, can be held accountable for the murder of Renee Nicole Good. For now, we thank Nekima Levy Armstrong for her insights, as we always do when she comes on this program. I'm grateful, Nekima, for your time. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon, I hope.
Thank you, Tavis. I appreciate you.
Good to have you on. Good. I appreciate you more. Hour 2, straight ahead, Cornel West kicks it off. You're listening to Tavis Smile.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. White House border czar Tom Homan says the woman shot by an ICE agent in Minnesota may meet the definition of domestic terrorism.
What she did was a crime. It's illegal to interfere and impede ICE law enforcement officers.
Homan spoke on NBC's Meet the Press. Federal officials say Renee Good tried to hit the agent with her car, but Democrats argue video evidence disputes that. Researchers say U.S. preterm birth rates have climbed over the past decade, hitting hardest in low-income households. Black mothers had the highest rates across all income levels. Preterm birth, delivery before 37 weeks, remains the leading cause of infant death and illness in the U.S. And influencer Desmond Scott confirms his split from wife Christy Scott, admitting to mistakes and apologizing to family and fans. He vows to stay a devoted father and shift to solo content focused on cooking. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers are done after a very weak performance on offense Sunday night at New England. In New England's 16-3 win, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was sacked 6 times and was pressured on 11 other passing attempts. He also fumbled twice. The Chargers failed to score a touchdown in a playoff game for the first time since 2007. The number one offseason priority for Coach Jim Harbaugh and the front office is to do something about the offensive line to keep Herbert healthy. The news is much better for the Rams. They've got a second-round matchup at Chicago on Sunday after surviving a tough battle Saturday at Carolina. First time the Rams and Chicago are meeting in the playoffs since 1985. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 4th in the country, has won 9 straight. The 14-1 Bruins beat Nebraska Sunday 83-61. 18 points and 10 rebounds for Lauren Betts. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI Trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, we're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
Trashman didn't get my trash today. Oh, why? Because they want more pay. Buses on strike wanna raise and fare so they can help pollute the air. But that's what makes the world go round. The ups and downs of carousel, changing people's hands around. Go underground, young man. People make the world go round. Wall Street losing dough on every share. They're blaming it on longer hair. Big men smoking in their easy chair on a fat cigar without a care. But that's what makes the world go round. The ups and downs of carousel, changing people's hands around. Go underground, young man. People make the world go round.
It's Monday, and every Monday and Thursday, top of the second hour, Dr. Cornel West joins us, and he chooses his own walk-on song. Doc, how are you today, sir?
My dear brother, always a blessing to talk with you. We still here. We still swinging, brothers. Still loving, still laughing, still organizing, still mobilizing, my brother.
Got the stylistics on your mind today, huh?
Yeah. Well, I've been really wrestling with these 2,000 people killed in the streets of Iran with this repressive policy and barbaric treatment. I'm thinking about Sister Armstrong and her leadership hitting the streets, not just in Minneapolis, but all around the country. People responding, people resisting the various forms of oppression, my brother. That's Tom Bell and Linda Creed, 1972, the Jamaican brother and the Jewish sister, writing such beautiful music, but hand in hand with people organizing, mobilizing, rebelling, trying to make the world go around in the face of all of this organized greed and weaponized hatred, my brother. That's what we're dealing with.
Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned Iran because it is so easy to be, and I don't want to say distracted, because the Renee Good story is obviously a huge story and an important story, and one that we have to stay focused on. And yet what's happening in Iran is significant as well, and Donald Trump is, noodling what he's going to do, how he's going to engage or involve in Iran. But for those who've not been paying attention to what's happening in Iran, given all the talk of late, again, legitimate conversation about Ms. Good in Minneapolis, give us your sense of what's happening in Iran right now.
Well, what's happening right now, though, brother, is just massive murder, though, man. That they've killed over 2,000 people. They've lost count of how many they have killed. But what you're actually experiencing is not just an economic issue, but 46 years of a repressive regime that has been circumscribing, targeting, violating, and flagrantly attacking and assaulting the dignity and rights of everyday people. And as you know, it's been a challenge for the left because the Iranian regime, the mullahs, have been supportive of the Palestinian struggle. And those of us who are in deep solidarity with the Palestinian struggle recognize that it's no contradiction to be in solidarity with Palestinian struggle against vicious, ugly Israeli genocide, Israeli ethnic cleansing, Israeli apartheid regime vis-a-vis Palestinians. But the people of Iran themselves, who have been critical of the Iranian regime and now are rebelling against the Iranian regime, make it as if people say, well, you either have to choose between the Palestinians or choose between the Iranians. No, we believe in moral consistency. We believe in ethical constancy, especially it was Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday this week. So he just reminds us that you have to be candid and honest about any form of human suffering, and human suffering is not reduced to some strategic move on an ideological board. These are human beings who are suffering heroic resistance, and that's true in the streets of Minneapolis and LA. It's true in the streets of Tehran. It's true in Gaza. It's true in Sudan. It's true across the board. It's true in Venezuela as they attempt to call into question ugly U.S. imperialism. You have to be consistent across the board, my brother.
Donald Trump yesterday made some comments about Iran. He says he's looking at very strong options. In fact, he didn't just say looking at, he warned Iran of very strong options that are on his desk. He said that Iran is starting to cross U.S. red lines. So Trump says that Iran is starting to cross some of our red lines. I'm quoting from him now. They're starting to, it looks like, and there seem to be some people killed that aren't supposed to be killed. These are violent. If you call them leaders, I don't know if they're leaders or just if they rule through violence. And we're looking at some very strong options. We'll make a determination. So Donald Trump suggesting that Iran is crossing some red lines for the U.S., and he's looking at some very strong options. That's on top of what he just did in Venezuela, say nothing of the threats to other countries, Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, Brazil. We in a hot mess, but it is the people who make the world go around. More with Cornel West when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Agency, dignity. This is Tavis Smiley.
Can you dig it? Come on!
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me, how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to TavisTalks.com right now. That's TavisTalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launch the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're going to be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley, Dr. Cornel West, Donald Trump again, suggesting that he has very strong options for Iran, that they're crossing some red lines. And we were talking, I guess a week or so ago, Doc, about this Donroe Doctrine, as he's calling it, not the Monroe Doctrine. I keep coming back to that because there seemed to be every other day some additional international hotspot that he wants to get his hands on. What's your greatest fear? What's your greatest fear about what Donald Trump might do with regard to Iran?
Well, you have to keep in mind that he has a gangster imperialist project in mind. He doesn't give a damn about the people in Venezuela. It's very clear they were talking about drugs and so forth. As soon as they kidnapped the president, Brother Maduro, what do? They talking about oil. Mm-hmm. Same is true in Iran. He doesn't really give a damn about everyday brothers and sisters in Iran as they engage in their heroic resistance against repressive regime. He wants to manipulate it in such a way that it's under U.S. aegis, it's under Israeli aegis. Here, the challenge here, though, and this is where it gets a little bit complicated. See, because you got gangsters running the repressive regime in Iran, who Trump, as the gangster in the U.S. imperial context, wants to overthrow. So you got two forces of gangsterism at work. Mm-hmm. But the gangsters in Iran have been in solidarity with Palestinians, and that to me was a positive thing. But they're in solidarity with Palestinians as they attempt to repress their own people and take massive resources away. So what do? Well, you have to have a critique of both gangsterism, and Trump himself mediated with Netanyahu's gangsterism. Yep. Trump and Netanyahu have blood on their hands in terms of genocide in Gaza, and now Trump has more and more blood on his hands vis-a-vis what's happening in Venezuela. And you say, well, wait a minute now. What is going on here? Well, it's hard to keep track if all you see is ideology. Mm-hmm. But it's easy to keep track if what you see is morality. Mm. And therefore, and it's true, too, even in Venezuela. Now, you got repression in Venezuela under Maduro, but at the same time, you and I know, going back to Hugo Chavez, that the United States had declared war on the Bolivarian Revolution going back to Hugo Chavez in 1998.
That's right.
And so the attempt to empower the poor under Hugo Chavez, which began to more and more decline because of both sanctions and embargo on the one hand and corruption on behalf of Maduro on the other. So Maduro was unable to sustain the high level of revolutionary fervor and concern about poor people that Chavez was, but he still deserves to be president of his country, especially if he gains it by means of fair election. We have debates about whether the election was fair or not, but you don't go in and just kidnap a president because you disagree with them. Yeah. But what we have to understand here in the United States is, though, brother, especially in regard to what's happening in Minneapolis, is that the Union Army won the war, but white supremacy won the peace. And in the 1960s, we were trying to struggle with that triumph of white supremacy, but the Confederate Army, the legacy of white supremacy coming out of that Confederate configuration, is more and more in the driver's seat today. That's why you get that kind of interview in the New York Times where Trump is talking about white men have been major victims
We're gonna get to
of the nation.
that.
You get Vance talking about, isn't it wonderful now that we can be white without apology? Hey, Martin Luther King wasn't talking about being you got to apologize for being white. You ought to be ashamed for being a white supremacist. That's the issue.
Yeah.
That's the immorality. That's the criminality. That is the horror and the terror that goes hand in hand with what Sister Renee had to deal with, even as a vanilla sister, what black people have had to deal with, indigenous peoples have had to deal with, what working peoples vis-a-vis corporate greed have had to deal with. That's the moral issues that completely get obscured and completely get hidden and concealed when we're dealing with superficial analysis, brother.
Yeah, I want to circle back to that New York Times piece in just a second. There's a bit more there that I want to unpack. Before I do that, one final question there about this Iranian situation. Again, in case you've just tuned in, Donald Trump said yesterday that Iran is crossing some red lines. He's looking at some very strong options. And as Dr. West laid out quite eloquently and brilliantly, Donald Trump clearly has imperial tendencies, and Iran may be the next stop. You saw, of course, that we bombed some sites inside of Syria the other day. So the Department of War, we have talked about Donald Trump changing the name from the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Now you see why he did that, because that's exactly how they're behaving, as if they want war on a number of fronts all around the globe. So the name actually sticks and works for what their intentions are. I digress on that for the moment. But back to Bibi right quick. When you can't talk about Iran without mentioning Bibi, because as you mentioned, Iran, for the most part, is on the right side of the Palestinian question. But you know that when Bibi and Donald Trump talk, he's whispering in Donald Trump's ear what he thinks Trump ought to do when it comes to Iran. What's your sense of what Bibi is telling Trump that he ought to do on Iran?
No, I think Bibi is telling him that he wants a regime in Iran that is subordinate to both Israel and the United States. So what he does is that he overlooks the integrity and the organic movement of a suffering people and wants to use that suffering as simply a move in their ideological game to keep U.S. and Israeli hegemony in place. Now, those of us who are deeply concerned about the suffering in Iran and other countries as well, but at this moment, especially given the 2,000 who were killed and maybe even more, and the heroic, unbelievable heroic struggle and resistance of everyday people there, it's an organic movement. Their suffering must not be reduced to some kind of ideological strategy, that something deeper is going on at the level of humanity. And if we lose sight of that, then we fall into simply reducing everything to just strategy and tactic and nothing to morality and spirituality. So that there's no doubt that Trump and Netanyahu are trying to manipulate this situation for U.S. and Israeli hegemony. There's no doubt about that.
Yep.
But what I hope is that the organic movement in Iran ends up producing a self-determination of the Iranian people that ends up being critical of Israel, critical of the United States, but affirmative of the precious humanity and dignity of Iranian brothers and sisters as they struggle.
Yeah, the Department of Defense, the Department of War, formerly known as the Department of Defense, is itching for a war. It seems around the globe. On the B side of this hour, I'm going to play a clip, some audio from Donald Trump on Greenland. He's been after Greenland for a while, as you know. On the backside with our next guest, we'll play a clip of what he had to say on Friday in case you didn't hear it. If you didn't hear it, he's ratcheting up that Greenland thing again. I'll play that for you.
And you saw they just sent $11 billion to Taiwan in terms of military equipment and weaponry.
I saw that. I did indeed see that.
And that's provoking China itself.
That's
You see,
exactly
so,
right.
I mean, you got the gangster is too weak a term in terms of what is happening coming out of the White House. But that's the term I continually fall back on in terms of imperial policy, a broad militaristic policy at home, with white supremacy as the public face. But keep in mind, it's the forces behind Trump that we have to highlight.
Yep. Let me do that right.
Corporate America,
Yeah.
Silicon Valley, those oil company executives that we saw the other day.
Yep. Let me do that right now. Talk about the forces behind Trump because Doc's point's right. He's provoking people, countries, nation states all around the world, provoking people abroad and blaming folk at home. And the folk he's blaming now, are folk who look like Doc, me, and a bunch of y'all listening right now. Because Donald Trump said on Wednesday, the interview happened on Wednesday, the story just came out. He spent hours with a room full of New York Times reporters in the Oval Office. And in that conversation, we are told now by the New York Times that Donald Trump said that civil rights have led to white people being very badly treated. Now, speaking of the people behind Donald Trump that Dr. West just referenced, let me break this down for you. Donald Trump leaned in on that comment in this conversation with the New York Times on Wednesday because in the last couple of weeks, his EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which is run now by a woman named Andrea Lucas, she put forth some weeks ago a striking video message underlying the new posture of the EEOC. She says in this video, and I quote, "Are you a white male who has experienced discrimination at work based on your race or sex? You may have a claim to recover money under federal civil rights laws. Contact the EEOC as soon as possible. Time limits are typically strict for filing a claim. Time limits are typically strict for filing a claim," she says. She goes on to say, "The EEOC is committed to identifying, attacking, and eliminating all forms of race and sex discrimination, including against white male applicants and employees," close quote. So there is a complete shift in the posture of the EEOC. She's asking, encouraging, begging white males to file complaints with the EEOC. So that's the backstory. J.D. Vance has been going off about this for quite some time now. So Donald Trump comes last Wednesday with the New York Times and leans in on this notion that white people, white men are being treated very, very badly. You know, Donald Trump, badly, very badly, very, very badly, because of civil rights. And again, this is nothing new, Doc, but he's ratcheting this thing up, man. This is he's on steroids now when it comes to blaming black people. I mean, this is on top of the anti-black agenda he's running, on top of the anti-DEI agenda. Now he's just flat out saying that civil rights are the reason why white folk, white men are being treated so badly, Doc.
That's it. No. You laid that out, though, brother. And remember the claim about genocide, the white farmers in South Africa,
That's
where
right.
they 7% of the population and own over 90% of the land, and can't say a word about genocide in Gaza. So, I mean, the white supremacy as public face of the raw fascism out of the White House, with imperialism abroad on the one hand, and then on the other hand, the militarism and the militarization of our society. And that's one of the reasons, even as you know, when I ran, though, brother, what did I call for? The abolition of ICE. ICE doesn't need to exist. It's just a secret army. It's a private army. It specializes in terrorizing. And, of course, we call it abolition of poverty and dismantling of the empire, a whole lot of other things. But it was a matter of bearing witness to a truth and a justice and predicated on a deep love of the brothers and sisters who are everyday folk, no matter who they are, beginning on the chocolate side of town and having a moral stance, be they Iranians dealing with a repressive regime, or be they Palestinians dealing with a vicious Israeli occupation, or be they workers in Brazil, or be they gays and lesbians and trans in San Francisco, or be they just human beings trying to live lives of decency and dignity.
Let me connect one more dot for you before I lose Doc. I was trying to say dot and doc too fast. One more dot I want to connect before I lose Doc in about 90 seconds here. So the EEOC is asking white men to come forward with their claims. Donald Trump leans in and says it's because of civil rights that these white men are being treated so badly. He was asked specifically and directly by the New York Times about the Civil Rights Act. and whether or not it had resulted in discrimination against white men. Trump said, and I quote, "A lot of people were very badly treated." A lot of people were very badly treated. So the last dot I want to connect for you is the executive branch to the judicial branch. This is why the Supreme Court of the United States has been gutting the Civil Rights Act, and they're set to gut the Voting Rights Act. All these dots connect, and they paint a picture, a very ugly picture. So, again, to Doc's point, it's not just Trump. It's the folk behind Trump and the folk in Trump's pocket, which would be the Supreme Court of the United States. I'll leave it there for now. Dr. West is here every Monday and Thursday, top of the second hour. This article that I reference is in the New York Times right now. Read it for yourself. The headline, once again, is Trump says civil rights led to white people being very badly treated. Read it for yourself. Dr. West, love you, man. I'll talk to you soon. Stay strong.
Love you though, brother. Stay strong now.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
What's your quarrel with the world? You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Thousands of nurses are on strike at 3 major New York City hospitals, Mount Sinai, New York Presbyterian, and Montefiore, in what could be the city's largest nurses strike. Darla is an RN on strike.
We have to fight for this contract. It's scary to know, the things you want can be easily taken away.
The union wants better pay and safer conditions. The December jobs report shows 50,000 jobs added, but black unemployment remains high at 7.5%, and many women are leaving the workforce. Experts predict slow improvement in early 2026 and stress the need for inclusive, accessible job opportunities. And a viral moment after the Jaguars' playoff loss. Black Jacksonville Free Press editor Lynn Jones uplifted rookie head coach Liam Cohen during his press conference, telling him to hold his head high after a strong season. The moment drew both praise and criticism online. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers are done after a very weak performance on offense Sunday night at New England. In New England's 16-3 win, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was sacked 6 times and was pressured on 11 other passing attempts. He also fumbled twice. The Chargers failed to score a touchdown in a playoff game for the first time since 2007. The number one offseason priority for Coach Jim Harbaugh and the front office is to do something about the offensive line to keep Herbert healthy. The news is much better for the Rams. They've got a second-round matchup at Chicago on Sunday after surviving a tough battle Saturday at Carolina. First time the Rams and Chicago are meeting in the playoffs since 1985. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 4th in the country, has won 9 straight. The 14-1 Bruins beat Nebraska Sunday 83-61. 18 points and 10 rebounds for Lauren Betts. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me. how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to TavisTalks.com right now. That's TavisTalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launch the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class.
I can't believe how spotless my floors look after using the Swiffer Power Mop. No more dragging around a heavy mop and messy bucket. Now I get the same deep clean without all the work. Thanks to the powerful solution and scrubbing pad of the Swiffer Power Mop, dirt and grime don't stand a chance, and I don't break a sweat. Mic drop. Mop drop.
Swiffer Power Mop. Swiffer Power Mop.
A smarter way to mop. Try it or your money back.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beat when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Picture this, you're on a date, and then bad breath happens. Confidence gone. Here's the truth. Most gums and mints are just bad breath Band-Aids, but not Zellman's Minty Mouth. The functional breath freshener you swallow. Tiny dual-action capsules with mint on the outside, parsley seed oil inside, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders, even garlic and onions. It's only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed, and I'm glad about it. We thank Dr. Cornel West for that conversation, as we do every Monday and Thursday at the top of the second hour. We move from Professor Cornel West to Professor Ben Burgis, Rutgers University philosophy professor. So we got 2 philosophers back-to-back in the same hour, Cornel West and Ben Burgis. Let me just set the frame for Professor Burgis, and I'll let him jump in and express himself. But we were just talking, Dr. West, as you heard, about Iran. Donald Trump, in case you had not heard, yesterday said that Iran is crossing a number of red lines for the U.S. He's looking at some very strong options. Those are his words, that Iran is crossing a number of red lines for the U.S., and he's looking at some very strong options when it comes to Iran. That's on top of what we already know about Venezuela going in under the cover of darkness and kidnapping. The president of that particular country said nothing of all the threats against Cuba, Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Greenland. He just yesterday, I think, maybe even today, I think it was last night, though, he is touting himself as the acting president of Venezuela. That's what he said on his Truth Social account, that he is the acting president of Venezuela. That's how he refers to himself in social media. He has told Cuba to make a deal or face the consequences. When he says make a deal, he's told Cuba, you ain't getting no Venezuelan oil. I'm cutting off the oil unless and until you make a deal with us. Why? Because I am the acting president of Venezuela. That's what he told Cuba, make a deal or face the consequences. And this is what he had to say on Friday about Greenland.
I'm not talking about money for Greenland yet. I might talk about that. But right now, we are going to do something on Greenland, whether they like it or not, because if we don't do it, Russia or China will take over Greenland, and we're not going to have Russia or China as a neighbor. Okay? I would like to make a deal, the easy way, but if we don't do it the easy way, we're going to do it the hard way. And by the way, I'm a fan of Denmark too. I have to tell you, and they've been very nice to me. I'm a big fan, but the fact that they had a boat land there 500 years ago doesn't mean that they own the land. I'm sure we had lots of boats go there also, but we need that because if you take a look outside of Greenland right now, there are Russian destroyers, there are Chinese destroyers and bigger, there are Russian submarines all over the place. We're not going to have Russia or China occupy Greenland, and that's what they're going to do if we don't. So we're going to be doing something with Greenland, either the nice way or the more difficult way.
I've been at this for 30 plus years, so this is always funny to me. And it's always funny when you hear the audio of it as opposed to seeing it in person. So the minute he stops talking, the White House press pool goes crazy. That's the press pool. Everybody's screaming, yelling, shouting a question. That's what happens if you don't ask or call on a particular person. They all just start shouting at you. You can't hear nothing. And Trump just ignores all of them and just keeps talking. That is his way. But it's funny when you hear it audibly, he stops. It's all the White House press pool going crazy, yelling questions at him, and he ain't listening to them. He just goes on and continues pressing his agenda. But you did hear what he had to say about Greenland. He doesn't care what they think about it. We're going to have our way with Greenland if you believe what Donald Trump says. This, again, ties back into our conversation moments ago with Dr. Cornel West about Donald Trump's imperial impulses. I'll put it that way. These imperial impulses that he has. And so I asked Ben Burgis right about now whether or not this is just a bunch of talk, a bunch of hot air, whether or not Donald Trump is in the days to come will press even harder on those imperial impulses. Professor Burgis, good to have you on the program.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Tavis. I think that with Trump, you know, it's always easy to tell yourself that it's all hot air. He just says things. And in fact, most of the things that he says, he doesn't do. You know, that's been a very consistent pattern. Mm-hmm. But the fun guessing game is always, when are you in the 5% of the things that he says that he's actually going to do? And some of the things that he's done in the last year have been absolutely remarkable. I mean, you know, start with the strikes on Iran last year. I mean, this is something that, you know, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu had been trying to convince different American presidents to do for literally decades. And second round Trump was the first one to say yes. And then just an astonishing level of gangsterism with the regime change, or, you know, the regime change light in Venezuela. I mean, you know, I can remember going to anti-war protests in 2002 and 2003, and when people like me would say, oh, this is about the oil, we were told we were being ridiculous, this is simplistic, this is like a ridiculous way to see the world. And now Trump comes right out and says that it's about the oil.
Yeah. I just asked Professor West moments ago what he thinks BB is whispering into Donald Trump's ear. Here you come now, which I appreciate putting even finer point on it, reminding us that Trump did strike Iran heretofore at the urging of Bibi Netanyahu. In this particular moment, when we see all hell breaking loose inside of Iran, and Trump suggesting that they're crossing red lines, and he's looking at some very strong options, given the backstory that you just reminded us of. Let me ask you the question I asked Dr. West moments ago. What do you think Bibi is whispering in Trump's ear right about now?
Yeah, I think that Bibi is saying the kinds of things that he always says. Remember, Bibi was a big promoter of the invasion of Iraq. He was one of the people telling George W. Bush that the Iraqis would greet us as liberators. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that he's spinning a similar story here, that, you know, if only the United States, you know, steps in to, you know, to help the people of Iran get their freedom, then everyone will be very grateful, and everything will go very well. Because, you know, the man has never seen a war that he doesn't like. And again, I don't know, and I don't pretend to know what Trump is going to do. I don't think anybody knows. I don't think Trump himself.
Yeah, he doesn't know. Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's so impulsive. But I do think that he's acting in a way that is totally unbound by the kinds of restrictions that would have deterred previous U.S. policies. Like, I think the invasion of Iraq in 2003 was one of the greatest crimes of the 21st century. Mm-hmm. I don't want to minimize that, but, you know, if you compare Iraq to what happened in Venezuela, you know, there was a year and a half of manufacturing consent. You know, George W. Bush got on the TV and said, okay, Saddam Hussein has 48 hours or 72 hours or whatever it was to do this or that, or else, right? And in Trump's case, you know, he just kind of decided to greenlight an operation to go kidnap him in the middle of the night. Or last year with Iran. It's easy to forget this, but literally we were in the middle of negotiations with Iran when Trump surprised them with the bombing. I mean, this is the kind of thing that we talk about with Pearl Harbor, is the day that would live in infamy, that, they were talking peace, and they launched this surprise attack. So I think that given that backstory, I think there's a range. I think Trump may get bored and lose focus on it. But I think the sky's the limit as far as what he could do without warning.
Let me ask you this question now. I'm looking at my clock. Let me just I'll pose the question now. When we come forward, I'll let you respond to it. And that is what we heard Donald Trump say in that clip a moment ago, that we're gonna do whatever we're gonna do in Greenland, as he said, whether they like it or not. But then you heard him go on to say that essentially, if we don't seize Greenland, then Russia or China will. And I want to just get your take on that. What's that about? I mean, why is he making that claim that if we don't seize Greenland, that somebody's going to seize it, and likely it'll be Russia or China? Unpack that for us when we come forward. Ben Burgis, Rutgers University philosophy professor, right now on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. If you're struggling with mental health, you should know that there are resources out there that can help. And it's okay to talk about it if you need to. One place to get started with information is loveyourmindtoday.org. Loveyourmindtoday.org offers a range of guides, instructions, and insights for dealing with difficult situations or getting through a tough time. If you're struggling with mental health, get the help you need, because most people out here really care. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Ben Burgis, Rutgers University philosophy professor, socialist political commentator, and Jacobin columnist, talking about whether or not Donald Trump is just talking trash or whether or not Venezuela is just the tip of the iceberg for his imperialist impulses and tendencies. So you heard in that clip we played a few moments ago, Donald Trump suggested if we don't seize Greenland, that Russia or China will. the whole notion that some country needs to be seized is a conversation unto itself. But again, his point that if we don't seize them, that Russia or China will. Professor Burgis, your thoughts on that comment?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's absurd on its face. Denmark is a member of NATO. If Russia or China tried to militarily seize Denmark, I mean, if that's what he means, we're supposed to take it literally, then that would trigger Article 5 and hence World War III. A direct war between the United States and Russia, which is why there's obviously a 0.00% chance that Russia or China would ever seize Denmark. There's also like, I don't know what the indication is supposed to be that they would have ever even had that design, right? I mean, Russia's bogged down in Ukraine. China might try to seize Taiwan's, someday, but that's Greenland. It's sort of, it's the kind of thing that it's hard for me to believe that anybody believes. But I guess Trump says it because it makes the pill go down a little bit more easily. Because otherwise, what we're left with is that he is threatening military force. That's what it means when he says we could do this the easy way or the hard way, against a U.S. ally that, in fact, we have a mutual defense arrangement with, right? If anybody attacks them, we're bound by the NATO treaty to come to their defense, and he wants to attack them pure, not because of any accusation, even any about anything that they've done, but just out of pure desire for territory. And this is the kind of thing that is really unheard of in the 2020s. This is this kind of 19th century blatant imperialism. I mean, even Vladimir Putin, when he invaded Ukraine, he didn't just say we're taking it because we want it, right? He came up with elaborate excuses. Trump is just saying, oh, we want it, so if they don't give it to us, we'll take it.
Yep. And if we don't take it, again, that Russia or China will. You heard Professor Burgess say that that flies in the face of any reality. But when we come forward in our remaining moments, I want to circle back to Venezuela, because I saw the piece that you wrote that Trump is unprepared for the chaos that's coming in Venezuela. You ran in, you abducted, you kidnapped the president, you brought him here. Now you're bragging about the fact that you're the acting president of Venezuela. We all know, to the point Professor Burgess made earlier, it was never about the drugs. It was always about the oil. But Professor Burgess argues in a pretty provocative piece that he wrote that Trump is totally unprepared for the coming chaos in Venezuela. What's he mean by that? We'll let him answer that as our exit question when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its prediabetes awareness partners.
Tired of the same old sports talk? Ready to go where the real conversation happens? Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, host of Out of Bounds, the sports show that doesn't play it safe. Every Friday at 6 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580. My co-host Neil Scarborough and I get you ready for the weekend. We take you beyond the highlight reels and into the stories that matter. The controversial calls, the game-changing plays, the athletes making headlines for all the right reasons and sometimes the wrong ones. From the NFL to the NBA, college ball to the pros, if it's happening in sports, we're breaking it down with no filter and all opinion. Tune in to Out of Bounds Headlines with me, Ray Richardson, and my co-host Neil Scarborough, live every Friday at 6 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580, because the best conversations happen out of bounds. KBLA Talk 1580, where Los Angeles talks.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 reminds you that we keep us safe. Every girl deserves a chance to shine. That's the belief behind Forgiving for Living, Inc. Since 1999, this organization has been empowering at-risk girls ages 13 to 18, helping them overcome behavioral and mental health challenges. Founder Wendy Gladney's personal journey inspired the mission to give girls hope and purpose through the power of forgiveness. Through their ambassador program, workshops, and annual conference, Forgiving for Living has touched over 3,000 young lives, providing mentoring, life skills, training, and tools for building self-esteem and confidence. You can make a difference. Visit forgivingforliving.org to donate, volunteer, become a mentor, or find help for a young girl in need. Forgiving for Living, Inc., building brighter futures for young girls. Visit forgivingforliving.org today. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with Professor Ben Burgis, Rutgers University philosophy professor, slow down on that, socialist political commentator and a Jacobin columnist. The chaos in Venezuela that is to come, that you suggested Donald Trump is totally unprepared for, looks like what, Professor Burgis?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends to a great extent on what the United States does. As you say, Trump has already, said many times that he plans on running Venezuela. He's jocularly referred to himself as the acting president of Venezuela. He's making determinations about what happens to Venezuela's oil, that he's going to cut off Cuba, for example. And so the real question is, does everybody in Venezuela just lie down and accept this? Mm-hmm. And if not, that could get very, very ugly, especially if Trump ends up deciding that he needs to put boots on the ground. This is a country with a long history of guerrilla warfare. There's FARC next door in Colombia. It's very easy to imagine real bloodshed and insurgency and counterinsurgency if things go that way. And the further he pushes making sure that Venezuela is doing exactly what he wants, I think the greater danger there is of that. But also, I just want to say, let's assume for the sake of argument that none of that happens. Mm-hmm. I think that he's still unleashing global chaos by doing this, because when you say, oh, we can issue an arrest warrant in a domestic American court for the head of state of another country and enforce it by sending soldiers to kidnap that head of state, well, my God, why doesn't everybody do that? Mm-hmm. I mean, why isn't there a Chinese court right now, preparing an arrest warrant for the leaders of Taiwan?
Yeah. It also raises the ultimate question for me, which is how unsafe this global chaos that Donald Trump is spearheading, how this strong man's view of the world that he has, and more to the point, the folk behind him, like Stephen Miller, keep advancing. How do these strongman views and this global chaos, how much more unsafe does this make us? We've been saying since 9/11, it's not a matter of if, not a matter of when, but not a matter of if, but when. We know we're going to get hit at some point. It seems to me that Donald Trump is just stoking that kind of angst and anger.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, especially, we already have a major Venezuelan refugee crisis. It's only going to be turbocharged by adding to the chaos in the country. That's the consistent pattern of every U.S. regime change that's happened over the last decades, that it leads to a mass exodus of further refugees from the country as things devolve there. And it's just very easy to imagine that the ripple effects of this will reach inside the United States. Mm-hmm. Just like when Russia invaded Ukraine, right? That led to attacks that happened in Moscow. I mean, this is saying, oftentimes supporters of the kind of frank American imperialism that Donald Trump is espousing will describe Latin America as their backyard. And I would just caution that if you start instigating wars and chaos in your backyard, you can't be surprised if they reach inside your house.
No, I couldn't agree more. And that's one of the greater fears, excuse me, that I have around this, that is making us ultimately more unsafe, and making us more and more of a target. Everything that Donald Trump is doing is making us more and more of a target. And somebody said the chickens will come home to roost at some point. I digress on that for now. Ben Burgis is professor of philosophy at Rutgers University, a contributor to Jacobin magazine. Honored to have had him on this program. Professor Burgis, thank you for your time. All the best to you, sir.
Thank you so much for having me, Tavis.
My pleasure. Two philosophers in this hour. Now we move to a former Homeland Security Secretary, Jeh Johnson, about this recruitment effort that is underway right now for patriots to join ICE and to rid the country, our country, of the worst of the worst. We'll talk about that when we come forward on Tavis.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Thousands of nurses are on strike at 3 major New York City hospitals, Mount Sinai, New York Presbyterian, and Montefiore, in what could be the city's largest nurses strike. Darla is an RN on strike.
We have to fight for this contract. It's scary to know, the things you want can be easily taken away.
The union wants better pay and safer conditions. The December jobs report shows 50,000 jobs added, but black unemployment remains high at 7.5%, and many women are leaving the workforce. Experts predict slow improvement in early 2026 and stress the need for inclusive, accessible job opportunities. And a viral moment after the Jaguars' playoff loss, Black Jacksonville Free Press editor Lynn Jones uplifted rookie head coach Liam Cohen during his press conference, telling him to hold his head high after a strong season. The moment drew both praise and criticism online. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers are done after a very weak performance on offense Sunday night at New England. In New England's 16-3 win, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was sacked 6 times and was pressured on 11 other passing attempts. He also fumbled twice. The Chargers failed to score a touchdown in a playoff game for the first time since 2007. The number one offseason priority for Coach Jim Harbaugh and the front office is to do something about the offensive line to keep Herbert healthy. The news is much better for the Rams. They've got a second-round matchup at Chicago on Sunday after surviving a tough battle Saturday at Carolina. First time the Rams and Chicago are meeting in the playoffs since 1985. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 4th in the country, has won 9 straight. The 14-1 Bruins beat Nebraska Sunday 83-61. 18 points and 10 rebounds for Lauren Betts. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with the world. African Focus Incorporated is a community-based organization whose mission is to bring Africans and African Americans together, lead charitable initiatives on the motherland, and educate people from all walks of life on the beauty, legacy, and opportunity of Africa's 54 nations. And it's that time once again when African Focus is teaming up with KBLA Talk 1580 for our 8th annual African Focus Trailblazers Tour. Travel with us in 2026 when we're headed to the Southern African nations of Zambia and Botswana for a historical, cultural, and vacation tour led by me, Dominique DePrima, Cultural Ambassador for African Focus Incorporated. Enjoy luxurious accommodations, conscious fellow travelers, shopping, adventures, cultural tours, wildlife safaris, and a giant waterfall, one of the world's 7 wonders, along with a chance to be of service at an orphanage on the continent. Become an AFI trailblazer by exploring the motherland with a nonprofit organization that has members in Africa and America to help roll out the red carpet for you, and together we'll make a difference and have fun doing it. For more information, visit africanfocus.org or call 310-676-7300. That's 310-676-7300 or africanfocus.org. Whether it's stateside or exploring the diaspora, We're with you every step of the way. African Focus and KBLA Talk 1580. Come go with us.
I'm Tavis Smiley. Glad to have you with us in this final hour of our program today. In this hour, two conversations. We'll be joined by comedian David Jolly in the last half hour. We could use some laughs today, given the subject matter that we've been discussing for today's show. The better part of 2 hours, and I've got one more half hour of a serious dialogue. Then we'll laugh a little bit on our way out the door today and prep for tomorrow's show. But we commenced this hour with the former Secretary of Homeland Security, Jeh Johnson. I want to get his take on a number of things. Of course, we started today's program talking about Minneapolis. Who isn't talking about Minneapolis right about now? But the Department of Homeland Security, DHS, has undertaken this Defend the Homeland nationwide recruitment campaign. That's what it's called, Defend the Homeland. It's a nationwide recruitment campaign to get patriots, that's their word, to get patriots to join ICE and remove the worst of the worst from the U.S. That's also their language. So they're asking patriots to join ICE and remove the worst of the worst from the U.S. The campaign is called Defend the Homeland. Now, you can't disconnect this campaign, of course, from what just happened in Minneapolis. And not just Minneapolis, but in Chicago, here in L.A., where I sit, and all across the country, we have seen with our own eyes, we've seen with our own eyes the kinds of people that are masking up. We can't see who they are, but they're masking up and posing as ICE agents. But we see the ways in which so many of them, not all, but so many of them are maltreating fellow citizens. So who are these folk that we're recruiting? And how concerned all the more ought we be by this aggressive recruiting campaign on the part of DHS. And that is why I invited Secretary Jeh Johnson back on this program. I have not talked to him this year. These are not happy times per se, but Happy New Year, Secretary Johnson. Good to have you back.
Tavis, it is always an honor to be on your show. I welcome our discussion. I welcome preceding David Jolly. And there are many important issues to discuss around the issue of Homeland Security.
I'll follow you. You host your own programs. So you know something about being a host. So there are many issues to discuss. Yes. What sits atop that list, that agenda for you?
Well, you'd be interested to know that in my last show, which aired this past Saturday on WBGO Newark, New Jersey, I had as my very special guest Rachel Maddow of MS Now. We had a fascinating discussion about the internment of Japanese Americans following the attack at Pearl Harbor. But I want to pick up on something you said. My former cabinet department is out recruiting new immigration enforcement officials. One of the bulletins is Defend the Homeland. But even deeper than that, Tavis, part of the recruiting is the message, defend your culture. Think about that. Defend your culture. To me, that's a dog whistle. And do I need to go much further? Imagine if we were back, say, in 1963, and you saw a recruitment tool by the Mississippi State Police that said, defend your culture. That's tantamount to saying black people need not apply. So when you hear a recruitment tool, defend your culture, it's basically saying Mexican Americans interested in law enforcement need not apply. Muslim Americans in Minneapolis, Michigan, interested in law enforcement need not apply. And I do worry about the caliber and the character of those who are being drawn to this immigration enforcement mission today. You mentioned that part of the agenda is rounding up the worst of the worst. I actually support that, rounding up the worst of the worst who are undocumented in this country. I did my best to round up the worst of the worst undocumented in this country because they are threats to public safety, but that is not this administration's agenda, as it appears to me. It's simply meet a certain daily or weekly quota of undocumented in this country that you can find of whatever criminal record or lack thereof.
Yeah. That word quota jumps out at me. Actually, a few things you said jump out at me, but I want to start here first. What's the danger in setting a public policy agenda connected to a particular quota, whatever that quota is?
Because it is irrespective of who it is you're going after. It disregards the nature and character of the people that may get snapped up in your web. An awful lot of undocumented people in this country have been here for 5, 10, 15 years or more, have no criminal record, and have U.S. children U.S.-born children who are U.S. citizens who would like the opportunity to be accountable, get on the books, and pay taxes. We see them every day. They don't wear signs saying I'm undocumented, but we see them every day. We have encounters with them every day in Southern California or in Northern New Jersey or New York City. So to just have a quota that Stephen Miller or somebody else comes up with really is not smart government policy.
Yep. Just getting started in this conversation with former Secretary of Homeland Security, Jeh Johnson. When we come forward, he said a couple of things already. I want to give him a chance to unpack for us in no particular order. I'm curious, I should say. Curious about how concerned he is about the type of people that are being recruited by a campaign like this. When you say that we're reaching out to people who are willing to defend their culture and defend the homeland and rid this country, his commentary notwithstanding, rid the homeland of the worst of the worst. Again, it's not just that part. You connect all these dots. You're recruiting a certain type of person. There is a profile here, and I'm concerned about that. And I'm curious to what his take is on the type of people that this magnet is attracting, as it were, in this recruitment campaign by DHS. And then we raised this issue earlier in our show today, but I want to get his opinion because we were talking about it earlier, but the two persons in the conversation were not former secretaries of Homeland Security, as Jeh Johnson is. And I'm curious as to his take on these ICE agents and these masks, hiding behind these masks. Is that appropriate? Is that inappropriate? We'll get his take on that, given his unique position, again, formerly in the government. You're listening to Jeh Johnson. I'm glad about it on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
Hi, it's Tavis Smiley. For 40 years, I have had the privilege, and I don't use that word lightly, the privilege of sitting down with presidents, world leaders, authors, artists, activists, the folk who shape our world. Thousands of conversations, tens of thousands of questions. And somewhere along the way, I realized that the art of conversation is dying. So here's what I'm going to do about it. I am now going to teach what these almost 40 years have taught me, how to have conversations that matter. 6 courses, from the anatomy of a great conversation to generous listening as a superpower to handling difficult exchanges without losing your dignity or your mind. Go to TavisTalks.com right now. That's TavisTalks.com. Download the free guide, see what's coming, sign up to be the first to know when we launch the series. Conversation is a skill, and like any skill, it can be taught. I'll see you in class.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest.
Uh-oh.
Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome. But but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're gonna be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
He's a paradigm pioneer and the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
As if we aren't already annoyed, and that's a generous and charitable word, but we aren't already annoyed enough, Secretary Jeh Johnson, by the way ICE is moving, the way they're showing up in cities all across this country. Now you have this recruitment campaign for people to defend the homeland, to defend their culture, to rid us of the worst, et cetera, et cetera. How worried are you about the type of people that are going to be recruited by ICE given this kind of campaign?
I would say very concerned. If you go on the internet to Homeland Security at DHS.gov, you see here the recruitment message. Serve your country, defend your culture, no undergraduate degree required. Now, there are a couple things wrong with that. One is we are a multicultural society in the United States of America. We are unique on this planet in that regard. There's no official culture. There's no one culture here in America. And so when you send out a message, defend your culture, you're making an appeal to a certain type of individual. You know, it was Ronald Reagan, Tavis, in 1988, who said that the uniqueness of America is you can go to Japan and never be Japanese. You can go to Germany and never be German. You can go to France and never be French, but you can come to the United States of America and be an American. And so the beauty of our country is there's no one culture. And whoever wrote that message knew, I think, exactly what they were trying to summon. And you mentioned earlier mask, Tavis. The issue with mask, first of all, you know, if you go to the most dangerous neighborhoods in New York City, the NYPD does not wear masks.
Exactly.
So why is it incumbent upon ICE agents to wear masks? They look menacing, they're very intimidating, and it removes a degree of accountability when you're interacting with the public. If they can't see who you are, you know, we now live in the age of the iPhone. But if someone's wearing a mask, there's an issue of accountability there. It also creates the possibility of encounters with people pretending to be federal law enforcement officers.
That's right.
They're wearing a mask, so you don't get a clear view of who they are. But Tavis, across all of this, there's a common thread to tragedies like what happened to Renee Good or George Floyd or Eric Garner. The common thread through all of this is an inability to de-escalate a tense situation. As you may recall, the George Floyd encounter escalated over a $20 counterfeit bill. And the best training you can give a law enforcement officer, in addition to how to use a firearm, is how to de-escalate a situation. When you look at the video of the encounter with Renee Good, you see these officers approaching her in a very aggressive, menacing way. One tried to forcibly open the car door to extract her from her own car, and she obviously panicked. And you could see from the videos, she made an effort to veer off to the right, away from the officers, and then the ICE agent fired 3 lethal shots at her as she was trying to flee what she perceived to be a very dangerous situation.
I'm listening to you now, and all that makes sense. So long as the persons we're talking about are interested, truly interested in de-escalation. And what I've been saying for a number of days now on a variety of fronts in a variety of ways, I don't see any interest on their part in de-escalation. To your point, that's why they approach that vehicle in such a menacing way. So you can teach this stuff all day long, and clearly these folks have not been taught it in the first place. No undergraduate degree required. I heard that. You heard it. You read it. The whole audience heard it. So we know the kind of people that we're going after. But they're not interested in de-escalation, Secretary Johnson. They want the exact opposite. It's as if, as I've said more times I can count now, domestically and internationally, Donald Trump is itching for a fight.
Well, today's news is that the Secretary of Homeland Security is sending, how many hundreds of agents into Minneapolis?
More, yeah. There are already 2,000 there, and they're sending hundreds more. Exactly.
Has there been some surge in the undocumented population in Minneapolis? I don't think so.
Yeah.
To me, it would appear to me to be simply throwing logs on a fire.
Right.
In an already dangerous combustible situation.
Yep.
That's how it appears to me.
I'm looking at a number of comments here that are coming in, during this conversation. I want to just read this one right quick. Tavis, it sounds like the recruitment message that Secretary Johnson read earlier. It sounds like the Confederate Army recruitment message. Does Secretary Johnson believe that they are really, in fact, recruiting for the coming Civil War? That's the question. And again, I read that, and I think that's a serious question. I take it as a serious question. And I've had any number of people on this show, Cornel West recently, Connie Rice recently, suggested to me, and I believe this, that the Civil War in this country never really ended. I mean, if we had time, we could unpack that as we have for the audience in those prior conversations. The Civil War really never ended. Dr. West, in fact, said earlier today that the Union won the war, but white supremacy won the peace. And you can unpack that. You can unpack that for what he meant by it. But the question that the listener's asking is whether or not they're actually recruiting for something far beyond a job at ICE. That's the question.
Yeah, I'm not prepared to say that they're recruiting for another civil war.
Right.
I do believe that such a message is a dog whistle to a certain type of mentality that exists out there. It's not a message intended to recruit a diverse law enforcement agency. And, it is important that you have diversity in the ranks in an immigration enforcement agency, because these are people who have to go into these communities, enforce the law, find the worst of the worst, and be able to interact with people in the community. And I'm worried that whoever conjured up that message was not interested at all in that, and was interested in attracting a certain mentality to the mission, which when you're dealing with law enforcement can be a combustible situation.
Yep. I don't want to get too deep in the weeds, but it seems to me this this is a legitimate question, at least to my mind it is, given what you read earlier on the DHS site. And for those who are listening, he wasn't making that up. If you go to the DHS site, Department of Homeland Security site, you can see the same thing Secretary Johnson read earlier. You can read for yourself this recruitment message for these ICE agents they're trying to hire. And again, one of the points he made is that no undergraduate degree required. I don't want to overstate the value of education. I don't want to understate it either. But it does raise, to my mind, a question about the kinds of persons that we should be looking for, the profile, what the standards ought to be for ICE agents. What's your thought about that? Who ought we be trying to recruit?
From my experience,
right?
You go to a border town like Laredo, Texas, and you encounter Border Patrol agents in green, customs agents in blue. ICE works more so in the interior, but when you're talking about border communities that are, say, 80% Mexican American, it is in the government's interest that you have those wearing a badge who are of the community, very much of the community. And I believe that is true also with respect to enforcement of our laws in the interior. And, take it out of the context of Homeland Security, immigration enforcement. How important is it to have law enforcement officers in Los Angeles and New York, Chicago, Detroit, Minneapolis, who are people of the community, not somebody who got recruited because they wanted to defend their culture and then got sent to a community that they're utterly unfamiliar with. That to me is a recipe for failure.
Yeah. I'm pausing here because I'm looking at the same thing you're looking at online about this messaging, and as I said earlier, they're trying to recruit patriots. What do you think that word? That's a loaded term. We talked earlier about again this message overall, but I want to just hone in on this word patriot. When you see an appeal to patriots to join ICE, what just unpack that word, that one word for me, please.
Well, that's a good question. I consider myself a patriot, but when you seek patriots, that implies a defined group of people. It sounds like an army of sorts, and I would have no problem with an appeal to patriotism, to loyalty as an American. But patriots, to me, sounds like a defined group of people to the exclusion of other types of people. Do you follow my reasoning here?
I do.
Yeah.
Yep.
And somebody could say, well, Johnson, when you were Secretary of DHS, there was also an appeal to patriots. Well, if there was, it got by me.
Yeah.
But the motive behind this type of recruitment is something that I do have a concern for.
Yeah, that word patriot jumped out at me, and I reading last night, preparing for our conversation, when I saw that word and the way they were using it in this recruitment campaign, my mind went straight to Frederick Douglass and one of my favorite Frederick Douglass quotes. So Frederick Douglass defined true patriotism as rebuking a nation's sins, not excusing them. He famously said, and I quote, "No," this is Douglass talking here, "No, I make no pretension to patriotism." That's the word that Secretary Johnson used a moment ago. Quoting again Frederick Douglass, "No, I make no pretension to patriotism. So long as my voice can be heard on this or the other side of the Atlantic, I will hold up America to the lighting scorn of moral indignation. In doing this, I shall feel myself discharging the duty of a true patriot. For he is a lover of his country." Here's the part I love. "For he is a lover of his country who rebukes and does not excuse its sins," close quote. So Douglas's definition of patriot is a little bit different than theirs at DHS, Secretary Johnson.
I believe I'm gonna say something similar to Frederick Douglass here. I believe that a patriot is someone who forces this nation to live up to its promise.
That's right. That's right.
You know, you talked about Frederick Douglass. It brought to mind for me that quote from Langston Hughes, favorite line from one of his poems. America never was America to me, yet I say it plain, America it will be. That is a call for patriotism. That's not a recruitment for patriots.
That's right.
That's a call for patriotism. You know, forcing this country to live up to its promise is what patriots do. It's what Martin Luther King did. It's what Frederick Douglass did. All sorts of people who make good trouble. Right, Tavis?
Yep, John Lewis. There you go. We should put some Frederick Douglass and some Langston Hughes on Kristi Noem's reading list, so that she can have a different perspective on what patriotism and a true patriot is really all about. I'll leave it there for now. He is the former Secretary of Homeland Security, and Lord, I wish he was there right now instead of Kristi Noem. I don't. I do not. I know he does not. I said it, he didn't, but I'd take anybody over Kristi Noem right now. But certainly, Jeh Johnson was among one of the best to sit in that seat. Secretary Johnson, good to have you back on this program. Have a great year. Have some more. I know you got some more great shows in front of you on WBGO. But thank you for your time today on our station and on our national show.
Thank you.
Good to have you on. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough. But if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family and manage the disease together. If you or your family are noticing changes, it could be Alzheimer's. Talk about seeing a doctor together. Visit alz.org/time to talk. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
I'm Bree Wood with BIN News Now. Thousands of nurses are on strike at 3 major New York City hospitals, Mount Sinai, New York Presbyterian, and Montefiore, in what could be the city's largest nurses strike. Darla is an RN on strike.
We have to fight for this contract. It's scary to know, the things you want can be easily taken away.
The union wants better pay and safer conditions. The December jobs report shows 50,000 jobs added, but black unemployment remains high at 7.5%, and many women are leaving the workforce. Experts predict slow improvement in early 2026 and stress the need for inclusive, accessible job opportunities. And a viral moment after the Jaguars' playoff loss. Black Jacksonville Free Press editor Lynn Jones uplifted rookie head coach Liam Cohen during his press conference, telling him to hold his head high after a strong season. The moment drew both praise and criticism online. Get BIN News Now on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
For victims of drunk and drug driving, our grief is unique. But you are not alone. You always have a place at MAD. Call our 24-hour victim helpline at 877-MAD-HELP or visit mad.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Chargers are done after a very weak performance on offense Sunday night at New England. In New England's 16-3 win, Chargers quarterback Justin Herbert was sacked 6 times and was pressured on 11 other passing attempts. He also fumbled twice. The Chargers failed to score a touchdown in a playoff game for the first time since 2007. The number one offseason priority for Coach Jim Harbaugh and the front office is to do something about the offensive line to keep Herbert healthy. The news is much better for the Rams. They've got a second-round matchup at Chicago on Sunday after surviving a tough battle Saturday at Carolina. First time the Rams and Chicago are meeting in the playoffs since 1985. The UCLA women's basketball team, ranked 4th in the country, has won 9 straight. The 14-1 Bruins beat Nebraska Sunday 83-61. 18 points and 10 rebounds for Lauren Betts. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 is committed to self-care and community well-being. Walk Good LA was formed in June 2020, inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement and the beginning stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. What began as a few minutes of breath work and yoga meditation before protests against police brutality turned into a safe space for the community to heal in hard times. The immensely positive response from the community transformed the momentum into a movement. Today, Walk Good LA is a black and brown-led community wellness organization based in Los Angeles. They provide spaces for healing through community yoga classes, guided meditations, hikes, run clubs, and other activations throughout Los Angeles that attract hundreds of members weekly. With the help of Propel and Michael B. Jordan, they now have a yoga and wellness studio in Los Angeles called the Walk Good Yard. To join their mailing list and connect with healing spaces, please visit walkgoodla.org. That's walkgoodla.org. Or find them on Instagram at walkgoodla. This is a community call to action, a community call to healing from KBLA Talk 1580.
Looking for something new? Try fencing, the Olympic and Paralympic sport that mixes speed, strategy, and fun. It's like chess meets cardio. Quick feet, quick decisions, and a satisfying beep when you score a point. Kids, teens, and adults can start anytime. No experience needed, and many clubs have loaner gear. Coaches teach fundamentals and safety from day one. Find a beginner class near you at usafencing.org/tryfencing. That's usafencing.org/tryfencing.
Picture this, you're on a date, and then bad breath happens. Confidence gone. Here's the truth. Most gums and mints are just bad breath Band-Aids, but not Zellman's Minty Mouth. The functional breath freshener you swallow. Tiny dual-action capsules with mint on the outside, parsley seed oil inside, clinically tested to fight the toughest offenders, even garlic and onions. It's only available online. Go to Zellmans.com, Zelmins, Zellmans.com, code FRESH for 15% off.
Freedom is an endless meeting, so let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Trump was my president because he was the realest to ever do it. On the last day of his presidency, he freed Kodak Black and Lil Wayne. Then he sent the goons into the Capitol building. They were hanging on chandeliers, ripping paintings off the wall. I was like, yes, I'm glad these ain't black people. I feel like we was up 100 points that day, huh, didn't we? I wore my suspenders that day. It's crazy, man. Only thing I was worried about when Trump was the president, I kept on getting these letters in the mail for like free trips on Carnival Cruise Line, all you can eat chicken. You ain't gonna get me like that, 45. I seen Roots, this is how we got over here the first time. I know what was gonna happen. I was gonna pull up to Cape Canaveral. It was gonna be me and 45 Puerto Ricans from Poinciana. You know they love a deal. But it got there's gonna be a long-bearded white man named Boss. He's gonna be like, all right, guys, everybody have a seat. Pick a dashiki. We're going back to Wakanda. Woo! All right, that's racist. I'm sorry.
His name is David Jolly, comedian, joins us live in the studio right now to close today's show. David, how are you, sir?
Oh, I'm good. And yourself? How you doing,
man?
Tavis?
If I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I am doing well, all things considered. These are crazy times, man.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really pay attention to what's going on. I live in my own world because it's too much to be like trying to keep up with, you know.
I will say when you walked in that this is like a moment for comedians. I mean, you said to me that I don't really do a lot of political stuff. That was political right there. It was funny stuff. You don't do a lot of political stuff, but just the world that we live in right now. There's so much material every day.
If I'm gonna do something political, I'm gonna completely destroy it. I'm gonna make both sides mad.
Yeah.
You know, I ain't gonna let up on neither side. Because, I mean, I believe in just love, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, get some money, take care of your family, and, like, all the politics will take care of itself, you know?
Yeah. I hear that approach. And it's funny you should say that. I was just talking to Bill Maher not long ago. And there are people who love Bill. And the people who loved, L-O-V-E-D, past tense, loved Bill. Because they see his politics shifting over the years. And the rub on Bill these days, or the line on Bill these days, is that he skewers both sides. And Bill will tell you that. When he does political stuff, he skewers both sides. Here you come now saying that when you do political jokes, on the rare occasion you do them, you want to skewer both sides. Why is that important?
Well, I mean, because, I mean, I think we all, like, you judge a man by his political views.
Right.
It's like crazy to me. You know, like, I make these sketches that I've been doing on, like, TikTok, Facebook, that's been going crazy viral.
Right.
So it's like a lot of it, I just get an opportunity to make fun of everybody, you know? And, like, if you're going to get mad, you just going to get mad. So then you really, I'm doubling down on you, you know?
Yeah.
Because it's like judging people by those things are just crazy to me.
Yeah.
You know, because, I mean, if you look at it from both sides, there's always going to be some wrong in all of it. Either you done drunk too much of the Kool-Aid and you don't believe your people could do wrong, or you realize, like, hey, this kind of messed up too, you know?
Yeah. So if not politics, what then would you say your comedy is mostly centered in?
It's just about reality. I got a joke where I was talking about, like, dementia, how that would never change. And, like, the people from nowadays, when they get dementia, and, you know, because most people with dementia, their best times, they live in that moment of their best era, you know? So that's what they relate back to. So imagine, like, these kids today relating back to, like, the stuff of today, you know what I mean? Like that, you know, like just different point of views on different stuff. Kids, you know, I got a 20-year-old son, being a father, like how, you know, if you everybody love their kids, but if you like them, I think you're doing it a little wrong, you know? You know what I mean? Like
you love them, but if you like them, something's wrong.
Yeah, something wrong, man. When they get to a certain age, it's like, I really don't like this dude anymore. I love him, but like, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm trying to say. Like, just being a parent, it's like, it's amazing, like, every year of being a parent, the less that you care, you know? Like, I understand, like, old black people from back in the days when I was growing up. I understand now, you know?
That's funny. The longer you're a parent, the less you care.
Yeah, the less. It go out the window, man. A lot of stuff go out the window.
Yeah. How did the comedy thing become your thing?
I mean, like, people always say I'm funny. You know, I'm a good conversationalist, but, like, I got a buddy of mine named D-Rug, like, probably about, like, 9 years now.
I love that name, D-Rug.
Yeah. I mean, well, his name Darius Boston, but, like, that's what we call him.
D-Rug, yeah.
But, like, he was about to do a show with my boy Ross McCoy, and I didn't know anything about comedy, but, you know, I knew how to write down, like, some funny premises. And the guy luckily let me get on the show. Then I asked Ross, like, what I do after this, and he was like, you just go to open mics and you just keep going and keep banging it out, you know, like, so, yeah, that was it. And I mean, just fell in love with it.
Yeah. The tell me about where that gift came from, that skill came from to write down these funny premises, as you put it.
I mean, just pain.
You've always been that way? Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, just look at stuff different because everybody looking at it this way. I'm probably looking at it from, like, somebody else's point of view. You know what I mean? Like, it's a million different point of views. Yeah. So, you know, just trying new stuff out. Like, I got a lot of stuff that's like, wow, that's crazy. Yeah. You know?
I was reading last night, preparing for our conversation, Cam
Patterson
is your nephew.
Yeah.
From SNL.
Well, like black people nephew.
Yeah.
Like, when he started, you know, I was like, I gave him a lot of guidance.
Right.
And I really don't like to say that because I like the work he's done. But he is family at this point, you know. I talk to him 2-3 times a week, you know, just making sure he all right. But he doing his thing on SNL.
No, he is. He's stepping up. When you are, again, I know you're somewhat uncomfortable with this because you said you want to respect his game
and
do what he's doing. But when you see a young talent like that, what is it that you most are trying to impress upon them about the business, about the game, about the world of comedy?
Well, I mean, like I think like being a young black man, sometimes pride is a thing, but he never had that. Like, cause you talking to like white people, you know, and they live a little different than us in respect levels and stuff. So like when he first started, I was like, man, sometimes you just gotta humble yourself a lot. Like it's gonna be a lot of times you want to say something, but sometimes walking away is better.
Yeah.
You know, like, nah, he's just doing his thing. It's actually beautiful to see.
Yeah.
I remember when he got SNL, like he was auditioning for it and he FaceTimed me. He was like, yeah, I'm just auditioning for SNL. And like being from our era, it's like, what? You know what I mean? Like SNL, that don't come every day, but it's exciting, you know?
Yeah.
And I'm, you know, it's just amazing to see right now.
And it happened for him.
Yeah, it happened for him, and it's going on.
Yeah.
And knowing the power SNL had, like I know when I was in high school, when I was growing up, it's like people used to center their whole week around watching SNL. It's like surreal, you know?
Yeah. You mentioned the sketches that you do. Let me just set this up now. When we come forward, I'll let you respond to it.
Okay.
See where I want to go here. So I was looking at your stuff last night. These sketches, these TikTok videos that you do. You got tons of followers.
Oh
in that TikTok space, which is a different. Trying to find the right word here. It's a different lane. It's a different on-ramp to comedy that people are using. You know, that kind of social media space to advance the funny stuff. I want to talk about that part because that's different, obviously, than being on the stage.
Yeah.
But you're making the most of that, you know, that social media space. We'll talk about that. His name is David Jolly. Plus, he's got some dates coming up. He's touring the country. We'll tell you about that as well. You're listening to David Jolly on Tavis Smiley.
From California to the Carolinas, everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Most people out here think that taking care of one another is important. And most people would step up for a neighbor going through a tough time. Most people around here help out friends and family when they need it. But the funny thing is, most of us won't look for help when we need it. If you're struggling with mental health, you should know that there are resources out there that can help. And it's okay to talk about it if you need to. One place to get started with information is loveyourmindtoday.org. Loveyourmindtoday.org offers a range of guides, instructions, and insights for dealing with difficult situations or getting through a tough time. If you're struggling with mental health, get the help you need, because most people out here really care. Visit loveyourmindtoday.org. That's loveyourmindtoday.org. Brought to you by the Huntsman Mental Health Institute and the Ad Council.
Tired of the same old sports talk? Ready to go where the real conversation happens? Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, host of Out of Bounds, the sports show that doesn't play it safe. Every Friday at 6 p.m. on KBLA Talk 1580, my co-host Neil Scarborough and I get you ready for the weekend. We take you beyond the highlight reels and into the stories that matter. The controversial calls, the game-changing plays, the athletes making headlines for all the right reasons and sometimes the wrong ones. From the NFL to the NBA, college ball to the pros, if it's happening in sports, we're breaking it down with no filter and all opinion. Tune in to Out of Bounds with me, Ray Richardson, and my co-host Neil Scarborough, live every Friday at 6 p.m. only on KBLA Talk 1580, because the best conversations happen out of bounds. KBLA Talk 1580, where Los Angeles talks.
KBLA Talk 1580 is pleased to partner with the Empowerment Congress once again for their 34th annual summit. The summit's theme is From Vision to Action, a forum to unlock participatory democracy, and will feature a nonpartisan gubernatorial candidate forum focused on issues of importance to the African American community. The summit is the signature public policy-oriented observance of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s legacy during the national 3-day holiday weekend that celebrates his life. This year's summit will be held on Saturday, January 17th, 2026 at the California Science Center in Exposition Park from 9 to 11 a.m. Admission is free, but registration is required at KBLA1580.com. All major announced candidates for California governor for the Democratic and Republican Party nominations have been invited to participate in the candidate forum, which will be moderated by Tavis Smiley. An all-star panel of journalists will pose questions to the candidates, and the forum will be broadcast live on KBLA Talk 1580. This is going to be a big year for local, state, and national politics. The political pulse of 2026 beats on KBLA Talk 1580.
Less monologue, more dialogue. Tavis Smiley continues right now.
David Jolly's on the stage everywhere, and I've got some dates I'll share with you in a little bit here about where you can catch him over the next couple months. He's got a lot of dates, a busy schedule. We'll tell you that in a second here. So he's clearly on the stage, but you're also on TikTok. You're using this viral video space. I mean, you're using a video space to go viral. But I'm looking at the numbers of people watching your TikTok videos and stuff. That's like a whole another lane now that comedians are stepping into. Tell me how you got in that lane and why it's working so well for you think?
Well, I mean, I also got 200,000 on Facebook and 100 on Instagram. So, I like Facebook because it's real people on Facebook.
Right.
You know, it's like people you went to school with. And, like, me and my buddy Jake, I wanted to make this Waffle House sketch where, like, if it was like a training video, how they'll probably give you a gun and all kind of other stuff. And then I just came up with this character, DeAndre, who just, like, he does a lot of commercials and he represented them for different people. And it's like, it's just basically me being me and just being able to be stupid, you know?
Yeah.
Nobody get offended.
Yeah. How does the video, the viral stuff, impact, aid, and abet? How does it support your stand-up comedy?
Well, I do stand-up every day of the week, you know? So, like, it allows people to know that I'm doing stand-up, and when they come out, they like, oh, because I did stand-up first. You know, I've been doing stand-up 9 years, and, like, sketches consistently probably, like, the last 2. Yeah. But it just puts more eyes on comedy in general, so people gonna come out, you know?
Yep. When the bug bit you to do this, what were your dreams then? What did you hope or expect that this comedy thing would become for you? And I'm only asking that because I'm trying to see where you are in that journey and what you dreamt this would be for you.
I really enjoy stand-up comedy. When I first started, I wanted to be able to make a living touring, doing weekends, theaters. You know, I'm on the path to doing that now. Right. I never really looked into the space of acting, but now it's like I want to be like somebody acting-wise as well, you know.
Yep. But the stand-up stuff you still love, though.
Oh, I love stand-up, first of all. That's my, like, I literally do stand-up every day.
Right.
When I get off the plane tonight, if I can, I'm going to go somewhere and try and get on a showcase or something.
Yeah.
Then I'm going to do that, like, 3 times tomorrow, 4 times Wednesday, because I'm back in Austin, so I can, like, really work my stuff, you know.
Yeah. What is, I mean, if you ask this question of 1,000 comedians, you'll get 1,000 different answers. What is it about being on the stage that so turns you on?
It's just the reaction that people having of your thoughts. They thinking the same thing. Or to see somebody brain like, damn, I mean, man, I ain't think of it like
in that way, exactly.
And it's just like, you just see a whole nucleus of different color people like come together and we laughing at this same joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah. His name is David Jolly. He's got some dates, as I mentioned, coming up in the next couple months here. He's everywhere, man. So when we come forward, now remaining moments with him, I will share with you some of the dates where you can see David Jolly on stage. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Wouldn't it be great if life came with a remote control? You know, you could hit pause when you needed to, or hit rewind. Like that time you knocked down that wasp's nest. Uh-oh. Or that time you forgot to roll up your windows in the car wash.
Fantastic.
Yeah, a remote control would have come in handy then. Well, life doesn't always give you time to change the outcome, but prediabetes does. With early diagnosis and a few healthy changes like managing your weight, getting active, stopping smoking, and eating healthier, you can stop prediabetes before it leads to type 2 diabetes. It's easy to learn your risk. Take the 1-minute test today at doihaveprediabetes.org. Life doesn't come with a remote control. Yikes! So you're on your own with the wasps. You have the power to take control of prediabetes. Visit doihaveprediabetes.org today. That's doihaveprediabetes.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and its Prediabetes Awareness Partners.
We're definitely going to be late to the concert. I feel like we should be there by now.
I'm just taking a little detour. I gotta fill up my gas tank, and I know this place a couple towns over where the gas is cheaper.
Are you serious? We're going to be late for the concert because you're driving out of the way for cheaper gas? Just use Upside.
What's Upside?
Upside is the free cashback app that gets you real cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait, I can get cash back just for buying the gas I need anyway?
Yes, I use it all the time, and I've made around $200. Now pull over so you can download the Upside app before we miss the concert.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code PATH25 to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime, right to your bank, PayPal, or as a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code PATH25 for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PATH25 for 25 cents per gallon bonus. That's code PATH25.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. The Autopsy Initiative provides a second autopsy free of charge for victims' families who have lost their loved ones due to a police-related death. The services offered through the initiative include the completion of a second autopsy, disclosure of preliminary findings, and a final autopsy report. A police-related death is when an individual is harmed by police officers using deadly force, which results in an individual's death. Police-related death includes in-custody deaths, including those that arise during contact with law enforcement officers during arrest, pursuit, booking, transport, or incarceration. The Autopsy Initiative has a team of board-certified pathologists on call. An autopsy request may be completed by anyone with a close relationship with the victim, which may include the victim's spouse, partner, relative, close friend, or lawyer. To request a free second autopsy for a victim of police violence, please visit knowyourrightscamp.com. That's knowyourrightscamp.com. Then click on Autopsy, then click on Request. At KBLA, we believe in justice for victims of police violence. We say their names, and we don't black down. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Ready to order?
Yes. We're earning unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card, so let's just get one of everything.
Everything?
Fire everything! The Capital One Saver Card is at table 27 and they're earning unlimited 3% cash back.
Yes, Chef! This is so nice.
Had a feeling you'd want 3% cash back on dessert.
Ooh, tiramisu!
Earn unlimited 3% cash back on dining and entertainment with the Capital One Saver Card. Capital One, what's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details.
More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and comedian David Jolly. Just a few minutes left in conversation with him. I want to give you some dates here. In just a, let me do that now. I'll do that now. Yeah. So let me just give you some dates where you can catch him. In Las Vegas on Thursday, February the 5th. I'm just going to run through these right quick and tell you where you can get all his dates on his website. Thursday, February 5th, he's in Vegas. February 6th and 7th, he is in Utah. Is that Jordan? Where's that?
Jordan, Utah.
Jordan, Utah, yeah. At Wise Guys.
Yeah, Wise Guys.
That's the 5th and 6th of February. He's in Utah. The 19th and 20th of February, he is in Cleveland.
Oh, yeah.
19 and 20. And February 21st, Columbus, Ohio, at the Attic Comedy Club. March the 4th, he's busy, man. In Greenville, South Carolina, at the Comedy Zone. And March the 5th, he is in Charlotte, North Carolina, at Comedy Zone as well. Man, you to your earlier point, you just keep moving.
Yeah, man. I mean, you got to keep your head down and keep going, man. I got something to do. Opinions don't pay bills. Well, I mean, they do in your case. They do in your case, but you know, I just want to get to the jokes, man. And let's laugh together.
Your comedy is opinion, though. It's opinion.
Well, I mean, it's an opinion, or it's just like a viewpoint. Yeah. I guess it isn't an opinion.
It's an opinion, yeah.
But it never tries to like break people down.
Yeah.
Like when I look at politics now, I don't see too many people who really looking at it from a point of view of it not being color.
Yeah.
You know, and like saying like, oh, if you don't believe in this, you're not black, or you this, and then you see like poor white people being Republicans, and it's like y'all really don't know what's going on.
Y'all don't get it. Y'all don't even get it.
You know what I mean? Y'all lost.
Do you at all these days worry about, because we're in that space, man, where people do get offended pretty easily?
Oh yeah, they do. But
yeah.
everything that I say, like I talk about, my topics come from like trans, just a black viewpoint, just everything. But it's never meant to be offensive. It's a way you can say things and still make it funny. You know what I mean? So it's like I look into that when I write a joke.
Yeah.
Like it might take a while to develop it to where I want to put it like out to where people are paying for it. You know?
Right.
But it's like it's still at the end of it, you'll be like, you got me. You know, like I'm supposed to be mad at this, but I'm not because it was funny. You know?
Yeah. Well, I'm delighted you came by to see us.
Nah, thank you.
How you squeezed us in, I don't know, because all these dates, you on stage like somewhere every day, it seems.
I mean, yeah, I'm about to leave after this, but you can't miss Tavis Smiley's show. That's crazy. When you get that email, you gotta come on in. You know,
I'm glad you came on in. We're honored to have you come in, and I wish for you nothing but the best this year. But I am just tickled by the success you're having. Online and on the stage. So, David Jolly, thanks for your time, man.
Yeah, no, thank you, Mr. Smiley.
Good to have you here, brother.
Yes, sir.
I appreciate it. Just like that, 3 hours are gone. Back here tomorrow, Lord willing, to do it all over again. Until tomorrow, thanks to Tavis Smiley. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.